What's good, people? Hotep Jesus, we back with another special event. Make sure y'all take the time right now, hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. This is the event you've been waiting to see. I wish we could have had more time to build the anticipation for this event, to go get sponsors and really build up the hype. But An0maly's got some good people who's coming through next week, so we had to rush this thing in here and get it done today. I'm glad everybody's able to make it. Welcome to the Hotep Royal Rumble, Hotep cage match with An0maly. Before we get into that, y'all know the sponsors: Coinbits app, coinbitsapp.com or coinbits.app, whatever you want to use. Buy Bitcoin from the Hoteps, man. It's real healthy. Real healthy to buy from the Hoteps. You're not buying from the establishment. Go ahead and visit that website. It does all the Bitcoin buying for you, so you don't got to think about it. And you just buy a little bit at a time. $5 here and there, $10 here and there, so don't break your pockets. You dig what I'm saying? I'm reading these super chats real fast. Wasted Talent, thank you for the super chat. For some reason, it erased off my screen. I don't know what happened. But Steph Colonel said, rules of engagement, no Brandon tantrums allowed, hashtag big grift. Ebony, thank you. She said, this is what we've all been waiting for. Donations, donations, donations. That's right, people. Don't be a grifter. Hit them super chats. We're going to get them into this conversation too, so you can get your grift on. And likes are free, so make sure you hit the like button. An0maly with the $20 super chat. Appreciate you, homie. One more time, shout out to the sponsors, Coinbits app. And make sure y'all follow wizoai.com. We got some great things happening with AI, optimizing the retail space. Shout out to our investor, Jazzy. Shout out to the whole team at Wizo, Riley, Danny, Sam, and the whole nine. Press 1 in the chat if you ready for this thing to go down. I got to spill some more anticipation. We don't even got 1,000 people in the room yet. I can't bring my opponent out the dressing room yet. Not yet. Press the share button. Go on to Twitter. Hit the retweet. We not starting to the likes is at least over 400. Let's get them likes up. We not starting to them likes is over 400. Hit the like button. Hit 1 in the chat if you're ready to get this thing on. I'm going to keep talking about my sponsors. Make sure y'all go to grifties.com. Nominate your favorite grifter. Vote for your favorite grifter. That's at grifties.com, the Grifty Awards. If you haven't seen that, go subscribe to that channel, youtube.com/grifties. Leroy Jenkins, $5 super chat, said Kofi on tight in Central PA. Hotep and Bill, let's go. Kofi's on tight. We not starting till we hit 400 likes. Let's get them up. Let's get them up. Let's get them up. Like I said, grifties.com is a new app. An0maly's on there. You can go and vote for An0maly on grifties.com. So make sure y'all go vote him up and get him up there, especially after tonight. We hit 400 likes. Let's go, people. We're about to get started. Kamar Daniels, $10 super chat. Donations, donations, donations. Cloud Star, $10 super chat. Regardless of how you feel, this conversation needed to happen. You are absolutely right. Without further ado, coming out the dressing room in the pink corner. It's like, nah. We got legendary energy, aka An0maly. Welcome to the ring, my brother. What's going on with you?
Appreciate you for having me. And I respect, as a seasoned, watcher and observer, a consumer, I respect the grift there. You got the sponsors, got the Hotep mug. Probably made in China, but
it was made in Taiwan. Okay.
Okay. Respect. No, they got some freedom there. All right. No, I'm glad to be here.
Now, An0maly, I was looking at my timeline, and I'm like, what's going on here, yo? Like, he coming at Trump like kind of crazy, and I'm like, this can't be the An0maly. I know, like, somebody must have hacked his account. There's no way this is An0maly that dropped the music video, I Like Trump, right? It had the words in here, I like Trump. I'm gonna read some of the lyrics here.
You know him by heart. I know you like the song. I was gonna bring up your tweet where you're like, bro, that's my jam. I've been listening to it all week.
That is my jam. That is one of my favorite Trump songs. He says, I like Trump. I don't really give a uck. All y'all suck. I'm too real to play it safe. You fake in front. I'm the plug. Y'all just follow like some sheep. Do what they want. I don't jump. I'm just saying, I feel like Donald Trump. I like Trump. I like Trump. So I got to ask you, An0maly.
Yeah.
Do you still like Trump?
I have a big heart, but I'm a little upset with what he's been doing. But I want to say to get into the debate, you say, what, you got a whole Trump album, which we know is false. I have one song, you know that, good play though. And then also, you said, An0maly's out here saying Trump's pushing the vaccine. I know that he is doing that. That's a fact. So, in the lyrics you just wrote, I said, I won't follow like some sheep, where there's sheep on the left wing and the right wing. I know the Hoteps know that. So when I wrote that song, I was inspired because he was crushing it. And even I didn't write a whole album. I didn't make it my whole thing. I had the option to be, I'm the Trump rapper. All I do is rap about Trump. I made one song. I dropped Dick Gregory, Dr. Sebi. I dropped some gems for the people in that song. And Trump just decided to kind of turn into like a Pfizer and a Moderna salesman. I mean, he sold that harder than he sold the Constitution in 2020 to 2021. So as a news analyst, as an honest person, how am I not going to talk about that? How am I just going to act like he's still doing the same thing? He Trojan horsed in socialism, communism, medical tyranny, started going from a vaccine skeptic to a full-blown salesman for Bill Gates, pushing Moderna harder than Fauci and Bill Gates combined, and bragging that he rushed it through FDA approval. He said in his last email, without Fauci, without me, it would have taken 4 or 5 years. So, who's the flip-flopper and who's the, non-conservative? That's my question. That's just how I feel.
Wait, you said he pushed it harder than Bill Gates?
Well, yeah, Bill Gates was saying in certain elements, obviously Bill Gates has been in the game for decades, but in certain elements,
I don't think anybody's been pushing this harder than Bill Gates.
Well, I'll say this, in an interview, Bill Gates said, the FDA unpressured will do its job, and Trump nonstop pressured the FDA. This is from his email blast last week. I'm just going to read it. He said, Dr. Fauci was incapable of pressing the FDA to move it through faster. I was the one to get it done. And even the fake news wants to report it. So in many ways, he pushed it faster than Gates and Fauci, and said, even Bill Gates is like, listen, I'm going to let them do their thing. And I don't like Bill Gates at all, but Trump's on Twitter saying, you got to rush this through approval. You got to approve it now. Like, it's almost like an ego thing for him. I want credit for it. And this is a red pill that I know a lot of people don't even want to swallow. But in September 19, 2019, Trump passed Executive Order 13887, which is modernizing influenza vaccines in the United States to promote national security and public health. It talked about a pandemic. It laid out all this propaganda and funding for all this stuff that he's using. So, I felt betrayed as a voter, as an American. I just, what happened to the country with the mask mandates, the lockdowns, and his role in all of it, the socialist, communist, $1 trillion loans and bills, I was beyond unimpressed.
There's a lot to break down here, but I want to come back to my previous question. You made a rap music video that said, I like Trump.
Yeah.
Do you still like Trump?
I appreciate him for what he was, but I would say it reminds me of like, I'm trying to think of a band that I really liked in high school, and then they came out and started just being super snowflakey and on the wrong side of history. So it's like a veteran that I love and I respect, and I appreciate what he did, calling out the fake news, really bringing the American spirit back alive. But I'm looking at him kind of like not just a wash up, but really like a sellout, like an athlete that I once loved, like a LeBron James that now pretends to read Malcolm X books and, shills for the Democratic Party. That's kind of just how I see it. So do I like him? I appreciate him, but am I in love with him right now? There's a lot to be desired, a lot left to be desired.
If he ran in 2024 against a Democrat of some sort, maybe Harris, are you voting Trump? Because you voted for Trump in 2016. I think
no, not 2016.
Was it 2020?
2020, I did, yeah, for sure.
2020, you voted for Trump, right?
So, yeah, that question, I guess, yeah, against a Democrat, most likely. I mean, there's nothing they can do for me. But as far as everybody saying Trump 2024, I would rather anybody that takes medical tyranny more serious. But to me, no one's taking it that serious. I have this book right here by Carrie Mullis, who's the inventor of the PCR test. Mass testing is the whole scheme. Asymptomatic cases, how they're testing, how many cycles. DeSantis isn't talking about it. Trump's not talking about it. Abbott's not talking about it. So my job, I feel like as a citizen, I'm just ticked off. I'm ticked off at all the tyranny. I'm ticked off at the lockdowns, the, vaccine passports on rural Caribbean. It's all just frustrating how they're treating kids, how they're treating the elderly, acting like quarantining them's healthy when it really breaks down an elderly person's body. And no Republican seems to have the balls to talk about it. So, as far as is he better than Kamala Harris? For sure. But this is starting to feel like a Roman theater where you either get socialism, communism, and medical tyranny, or socialism, communism, medical tyranny with higher gas prices where, yeah, I'm going to have a preference, but it's just not doing the trick for me.
So I'll ask the question the third time. I just want to be clear. Yes, you like Trump.
I'm a nice guy. I'll say I like him, but he's disappointing me. He's kind of just his act, and it seems like he's a scripted character at this point.
Interesting. Scripted. I don't know if I agree with scripted. I feel like he's an unscripted character, and that's what makes him unique. Why do you say he's scripted?
I'll say this.
And if he's scripted, who's writing the script?
It's a good question. Well, I saw him in Arizona at a rally right before his election. And what he was talking about, he had 6 months, 7 months, the election happened. He comes to CPAC. He pretty much read the same exact script again, where it's Operation Warp Speed. I did it, build the wall, talking about his economy being good in 2017. And I don't disagree. And I think what they did was messed up, but it's like being up 20 points in the first three quarters, losing the fourth quarter by 100 and being like, remember the second quarter when I was winning? Where it's like he just seems out of touch with what's going on in this country and what the average American is facing with the lockdown. So, yeah, he sounds like he's on a script. When he had a Twitter, Moderna, every day he was posting about Moderna, election fraud, Moderna, election fraud. And I'm like, it just started seeming like Bernie Sanders when you pull it and it says, the billionaire class, I'm like, I'm not a big billionaire fanatic out here, but what are you really saying? Like, you're saying things that I agree with, but it's starting to seem like Woody from Toy Story. You just pull the string and, you get the same four phrases, Moderna. I'm like, okay, bro, you're Mr. Moderna. Get him a Moderna statue, like a Grifty with a shaped as Bill Gates' head or something.
Okay, when this whole pandemic hit, right? I want to say early last year sometime. Do you remember what month that was? Maybe March? I think?
Yeah, March.
Okay, March. Wasn't Trump talking about the vagine then, the stabbies then?
He kind of has some flip-flops, but I think I know 15 days to slow the spread. I know he extended it. He was talking about hydroxy. We must not name this, he was talking about the drug that must not be named. And then Operation Warp Speed came and, he just started saying, let's extend the lockdown past Easter. So I don't know when he started talking about the V word, but, I just remember after 15 days to slow the spread, it was pretty much a wrap.
So we know Trump's an ego guy, right? And what I saw, and you can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I saw that Trump said he would get us the stabbies. And the left-wing media said, no, that's not possible. Am I wrong in that?
No, totally. Keep going.
Okay, cool. So the left media said, no, that's not possible. But yet the stabbies are here. Right?
That's right.
And now they're trying to push that, especially on the Black community now, right?
For sure.
So don't you think Trump's idea wasn't more so about pushing the vagine so much as to prove that the left are some lying scumbags?
It's a good question, but I think that's, some people call it Hegelian dialectics. Some people call it controlled opposition. When you're playing in an arena and you get the left wing to turn against vaccines and you get the right wing to push them, that doesn't interest me. It's definitely like theater for the sheep, but was that what he was trying to do? Probably. Does he have like a big personality? Of course. Bill Gates said years ago, he met with Trump with all that executive order I was talking about, said, Trump, you could be the guy to get the universal flu vaccine. And he said Trump was totally for it, even though Trump morally, I think, doesn't agree with that. I guess that's how easy it is to trick Trump. So it's like, hey, you'll be the guy who does it and prove them wrong. But it's like, at a certain point, you're just like, if you don't have your own system of morals, you're doing something that you ethically disagree with just to prove the left wrong. That is I agree with you. And that's the perfect problem with politics is it's a clown show where no matter which side you choose, the Bolshevik left or the Zionist right, they got some tricks up their sleeve. And I know the Hoteps know that. So,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sponsored by, no, I'm just kidding.
I just want to clarify something you said. When Trump was bringing up the vagine, I had to just turn off the overlay. When Trump brought up the vagine, the left wasn't anti-vagine. They were anti-Trump vagine, right? So...
Well, they don't believe anything they say. They're against you meeting with your friends, but they're okay if 10,000 liberals meet in the streets to protest for George Floyd. So you can't, that's one thing I agree with you that they are doing. And the Republicans need to stop doing it. They pander to every group, the left, thinking that they're going to get accepted, but the left are just like a lot of like sadistic, self-hating people. So they don't actually believe what they say. So if you're trying to please them and it turns into socialism, communism, medical tyranny, yeah, like maybe you can impress some Trump supporters, but not me. And I did like him, but like that, I'm not the one to fall for that trap.
Yeah. Totally agree with you there. What is this? The quote from Michael Malice? He says, the Republicans, conservatives are just liberals doing a speed limit or something like that.
Totally. Yeah. And that's a great quote because it's true. And it's become unsustainable. Like I'll vote right wing locally and even probably nationally. But at a certain point, if it becomes socialism, communism, Ronna McDaniel sent me something, not personally, but, like Republican thing. And one of the things it said, what do you care about? It said talking about socialism and cancel culture. It didn't say doing something about cancel culture. It didn't say stopping. It said talking about it. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't care if they talk. That's exactly what they do. They talk about it. So there's a disconnect in the party, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the stabbies, right? Trump is, I can't deny, he's definitely pushing the stabbies. I remember Trump was on Twitter and he was like, hey, we got the stabbies for you. And I'm like, nah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I don't want that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But here's what I remember. And maybe you can tell me about your experience. But prior to the pandemic, I remember there were some House bills being pushed right here in New Jersey. And they were basically saying remove religious exemption for the stabbies. And I was fighting that stuff. I was, spreading awareness. Some of the, there was some beautiful young ladies, Sister Samaya and so forth were out here pushing it. Dr. Shiva was out here, raising awareness about that. And I gave him my platform. But I noticed that with the right really didn't care, right? It seemed like my conservative base, they were calling me anti-vax. They're like, oh, you're some anti-vax. Did you see that same thing from your experience?
Yep. Because New Jersey, New York, California, they started pushing for it in 2019 to get rid of the religious exemption. I remember I had a tweet in 2019. I said, this is a huge blind spot of the right wing and mandatory vaccinations are coming. I mean, they're almost here. Right. And yeah, it was a huge blind spot of the right early on. And even I think March, April, May, it took people to realize who's Fauci. We don't know who this guy is. And learning about, the V word. Definitely agreed.
Right. Okay. So we have to remember that the pandemic happened in an election year. In an election year, with somebody running, a lot of rules change. You're thinking about, how do I win this next election? So if we know that the conservative base is not opposed to the stabbies, Trump is doing what's right for his base. Does that not make sense politically?
Well, that's the thing with Trump is I agree with what you're saying. And I'm a thoughtful person. I'm not just like, do what I want now. I had Republican family members who were totally against me, liked masks. And I realized Trump was in a pickle at that point. It was really, okay, let's see what he does after the election. Let's see what he does here. And every step of the way, I felt like he's out of office now. There's no election to win. He's still doing the same thing. It's all about ego. And even with the election thing, I didn't go to January 6th because I thought it was a setup. I just felt weird to me because he kept saying the same thing over and over. You had Lynn Wood talking big shit. You had Trump saying it's Pence. And I'm thinking to myself, Trump has Pence's phone number. So that ended up being like a honeypot Fed event. And Trump led his people right to the slaughter, never pardoned anybody, never apologized, condemned them, never talked about it, gets up at CPAC, starts shilling for the vax. So, I agree with you, but it's like, to me, what you're doing respectfully and is what everyone else is doing, just making excuses for him as if he still has an election to win, but maybe it's just who he is. He's not who people thought he was.
You said making excuses. Is that how you want to phrase what I'm doing here?
Well, I'm just saying a lot of Trump supporters, for sure. It's like, well, maybe he did that for the election. Okay, then the election's been over. He's not in office for 3 months. How come he's still doing it? What's he thinking about now? I'm just saying, have you thought of the possibility that maybe he just doesn't care?
I'm not making excuses. I'm trying to put in context how the man's thinking.
No, I get it. But it's like if somebody thinks something, like what is Nancy Pelosi thinking? Maybe she drinks so much alcohol, she thinks she's Martin Luther King. But, his thought process, like I get what he thinks. That's why he was easy for Bill Gates to lobby, not with money. Trump doesn't need his money, but you're the guy. You can be the big boy. And he says, I'll be the big. I agree, but that's a massive character flaw. And I'm not above a character flaw. But when it turns into socialism, communism, medical tyranny, I'm more interested in seeing the base pressure him to get through to him, kind of like he's doing to Governor Kemp. I think he's giving him a rough shake, but at the same time, Governor Kemp's doing all this stuff because he feels the heat. It's good to feel the heat in politics. You need to feel, and Trump never felt that because people would lick dirt off his shoe, before they would ever suggest that he was in on the $1 trillion socialist communist scam, which he was.
Well, when you say medical tyranny, how do you tie Trump to that statement, being a medical tyrannist?
Well, to me, the lockdown is the biggest medical tyranny of modern history. Not only are you talking about mandatory stuff, you're talking about they closed beaches, they closed gyms, they closed down travel. They pretty much put everybody in a state of fear in all 50 states, essentially, for 15 days. And then, I gave Trump the benefit of the doubt for that. Although he was orchestrating it, or at least pretending to be at the front of it, he was talking about during the 15 days, he started to realize the psyop and he said, I want to open up. And then when push came to shove, he looked behind him at the imperial model, of course, most likely or definitely funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation with the big curves and all those models and all these schools from that one to the one in Washington. They're all getting grants from Bill and Melinda Gates. And he looks at it and he says, we got to lock down. So Trump had an opportunity to really turn this around, lock down. And then he actually pressured Georgia when Georgia opened, because they said this, it's been too long. It was like 30 days or something. We're going to open. Trump gets on TV and uses his platform to condemn Georgia. Trump gets on his platform and condemns Sweden. Sweden, millions of people are going to die if we did that here. Herd immunity is bad. So within a month, Trump psyoped conservatives into thinking Sweden, by not having a mask mandate and not having a lockdown, was deadly. So now freedom is deadly and socialism and communism is patriotic. That's what Trump did. So how was he not a part of it? He was the leader of the free world. He signed off on a lot of that stuff executively, and he has a voice above everything. Thomas Massey took a stand against the $1 trillion bill and said, this is going to be the biggest mistake in history, and explain why with exact preciseness. And Trump said he's a third-rate Republican, kick him out of the Republican Party. Every which way. I mean, it was like he was betraying us, and just unapologetically, and he's still yet to 2 months, 3 months after the out of office, he still has yet to say anything of value about, reversing all the medical tyranny that he helped usher in.
What was the left's posture at that time when the lockdowns first began, the first 15 days to spread, when Trump wanted to basically co-sign the lockdowns? Didn't the left go against that?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I'm sure. I don't.
That's what I remember.
Actually, I don't. You're saying when he locked it down. I remember everybody being kind of shook, but I don't remember them. I don't remember them saying like, "Oh, don't lock down." But I was watching the task force stuff. I don't remember like.
So when I think of lockdown with Trump, I'm thinking about him saying nobody can come into this country.
Oh, you're talking about that. Yeah. Right? That's the travel ban early on. Yeah. They disagreed with that in February.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking about.
Okay.
Right. When you think Trump and you think You're like, yo, no more China, no more China. And the left was like, no, we can do that, right? That's not what Trump was referring to during the lockdowns. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
Well, that was an early step. That was an early step to block off travel. But then the 15 days to slow the spread is when our whole country locked down, and he was a part of that. So that's a good point to bring up. And I think that brings back the Hegelian dialectic. Now you have conservatives arguing that Trump was good with the lockdown because he locked down even earlier. So now you've psyoped conservatives into supporting the shutdown of your country. And the more you do this type of stuff, the more you're justifying, in my opinion, the PSYOP. It's mass testing with PCR tests. You're doing asymptomatic cases. China is not. All the meanwhile, when you see Trump Jr. on Twitter, he says, look at China. China's not testing asymptomatic. That's bad. And I'm like, no, that's smart. What we're doing is bad. So it's like, I agree with what you're saying. The left is always lying. They're always saying we did this, even though he was first. But is it really a good thing to be early on the lockdown? When it's all said and done, I don't think it is. And I think that seems to be like part of the trap.
Yeah, I don't know. When I look at the first 15 days, I wasn't opposed to a lockdown for 15 days. I understand the long-term ramifications of it all. But when I saw what was happening, like a lot of places needed to clean up. People were cleaning up underneath parts of the restaurant that hadn't been seen in years. Gyms were cleaning stuff that hadn't been. America needed a good cleaning, right? So I wasn't exactly opposed to it, although I knew it was going to be a permanent type thing, right? Also, you have to remember that, for example, when we talk about administrative suggestions, right? What if this virus was as deadly as they said it was? They would have came back and said Trump, mismanaged it and this, that, and the third, which they're going to say anyway. So I think from not only a political point of view, but from a health point of view, the government actually has every right legally to lock down in a state of emergency. Like that doesn't go against anything that's written on the books, right? So they can do that as long as we're in a state of emergency. So Trump was well within his rights to do so. I also think he was well within his rights to correct himself thereafter. And it didn't take him long to correct himself thereafter, because I have a story right here from BBC.com. It says, coronavirus, President Trump defends tweets against U.S. state lockdowns. This is April 18th. It didn't take him long to figure this thing out, right? It says liberate Minnesota, liberate Michigan, liberate Virginia. So I'm looking at somebody who's a first-time president, first-time politician. He gets hit with this, stupid 19 thing, so-called, pandemic. And there's a lot of people around him in his ears, so on and so forth. And so Trump has to posture himself not only as president of the United States, but in an election year.
Yeah.
Right? So it puts him in a very precarious situation. For somebody to go from lockdowns to March to April 18th saying, I'm opposed to lockdowns, while the left was pushing lockdowns, and he kept going against the lockdowns all the way up until election date and so on and so forth. I just don't see how you could be mad at the man.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is some facts that people are ignoring. So, you said that he tweeted about it, just like he tweeted about big tech as his constituents were passing an anti-Semitism protest bill for Israel to stop them from, stop people from criticizing them. So if you're tweeting about big tech and then you're selling out the First Amendment with Dershowitz and Kushner standing next to you, it doesn't matter that you tweeted about it. It matters what you do. So on April 22nd, after the date that you referenced, this is, all mainstream news. You could look it up. Trump says he strongly disagrees with move to reopen. So he says liberate everywhere. And as soon as Georgia reopens and says, we want to reopen spas, we want to reopen tattoo parlors, Trump uses platform to condemn them and say, 6 days after you said, and say, you know what, I don't agree, just wait, just follow my guidelines. We're going to get there. So he championed this every which way. And I remember back in April, I was crunching the numbers and I realized that he was lying about Sweden, because I had the access to the data just like his team did. Him, Jack Posobiec, James Woods, who I all like them all. They were trying to push this narrative that Sweden was super deadly for keeping freedom. And I remember calling him out then. I was like, you guys have become salesmen for communism, socialism, and tyranny. So yeah, he tweeted a good game, but every which way push came to shove, actions, legislation, and even like, guidelines, he actually was pro lockdown. And I have a clip right here, Hotep. This is him. He said he saved 100 million lives. Here, I'm
you
gonna
read
play.
the fact that I was the one, and this administration was the one that came up with a vaccine, which is going to save the world, okay? It's going to save, we would be, I think, worse than 1917, where 50 to 100 million people died.
So he's trying to push the narrative that he saved 100 million people with his Moderna and Pfizer stuff. So, yeah, I'm
not touching that one topic you brought. I ain't touching that. I'm not getting into that.
Yeah.
So that clip you just played there, is that the one from Fox News?
Yeah, it's from Fox News. He said 100 million people would have died if he didn't get the world-saving vaccine.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that clip up because I got that clip too. And in that same interview, he talks about, she asked him, she says, would you suggest to people or urge people to take the stabbies? He says, yes, I would. Even people who don't agree with it, right? Then he continues and he says here, and I quote, we have our freedoms and we have to live by that. And I agree with that also.
Dude, I know you're a smart guy. Do you think him saying that in March means anything after everything that he did? Where the whole reason he took that interview is Fauci told him, he said, I think Trump should go and tell Republicans to take the vaccine because they're skeptical. And Trump, like a puppet, jumped up and hopped on Fox and said that. Okay, we have our freedoms. He says it in March, but he was complicit with every step of the way when we lost our freedoms. He's like a circus actor clown who impresses people that don't want to put the dates together. I don't care. Like, wow, he said that.
This was March 16th, 2021. He says,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It means nothing after every, it's the same thing as him saying something in April. And then
when I think of tyranny, I think of no choice. You have to do what we say, right? But Trump all along the way has always championed choice. He's not saying you got to take the stabbies. He says, and I'll quote one more time, we have our freedoms and we have to live by that. And I agree with that also. You cannot, it seems like what you're doing is exactly what the left do, right? They take that one small soundbite that they disagree with and then they blow it up, but they ignore this other piece, just like what happened at the Capitol when people stormed the Capitol.
No, well, I mean,
hold on. At the Capitol, he said what he said, we're going to walk over to the building. And then he capped that off and said, we're going to do this peacefully. But when the left showed it, they didn't show that part. So when you play the clip and don't talk about how he says we have our freedoms and we have to live by that, and I agree with that also, it's disingenuous to me because Trump has always championed our freedoms. Even when we go back to when the stupid 19 hit, who was it that pushed the HC we can't name medicine?
Yeah, do you know why he stopped doing it?
Hold on. Who made that national headline news? Say his name. Donald John Trump.
Can I refute all the bad logic that you had over the last 2 minutes?
Hold on. Who was the one that put that on Front Street?
Trump.
When the doctors came out and they lined up and they told you about the powerful effects of this so-called drug, what did they call those doctors?
Can I refute your terrible logic? Or are you going to...
I just want to know. Just tell us. What did they call those doctors?
I just want to start from the beginning. You said you take one small thing.
Hold on, An0maly. Hold on.
Socialism, communism, medical tyranny.
I just want to walk through this real slow. I like you. My guy.
I know everybody in the chat realizes I'm crushing you now. So you're going to let me refute your bad logic, or you're going to try to straw man an argument because nobody likes straw mans. You have a smart audience, so they're too smart to not let.
No. I'm just asking you a question. I don't mind the chat.
I don't know
the chat's having fun.
Who won the election in 2016 and said that there were rapists and criminals at the border and he was going to build a wall? It's a straw man argument to try to I guess just filibuster so I can't answer your other crappy comments from 3 minutes ago. It's like who did this in 2018? Trump. Who helped Republicans win in 2018 a few seats in the Senate.
So Trump came out and he gave us this He didn't even give us the drug. The drug was known. Other foreign countries were using this stuff, right? And the left lambasted him for even mentioning this thing. It even got to the point where if you mention this drug, you could be banned, right? We can't even say it right now. But Trump was the one person to do it. And then when those doctors came out, I'll answer the question for you. They called them Trump's doctors.
Do you know why? I'm going to ask you a question. Do you know why he hasn't talked about it in 8 months, 9 months? There's a specific reason that he hasn't mentioned it at all.
I've never made a Trump song, so I don't sniff up Trump's ass.
All right, I'll answer the question.
I don't.
You're full of straw mans and personal attacks, which means you know you're losing. But the reason is because it's not the vaccines are not FDA approved. They're emergency use authorized. So as soon as I think they told Trump, if he was able to establish that drug would work, they couldn't emergency use authorize the vaccines. And Trump wanted to champion the vaccines. So that's why he stopped talking about it. As far as what you said 4 minutes ago, before your straw man arguments, it's a small thing. That's what people try to say. It's just this little thing. Is it a little thing to lock down? You're talking about socialism, communism, essentially slavery, mask mandate, treating the elderly like prisoners. You have elderly people dying because they can't travel, they can't move, they can't go to a gym. You have kids being psychologically abused. That's a small thing to you.
No.
Yeah, then I don't know what you mean by it's just a little thing. It's like you're refusing.
I never said it was a little thing.
He said the word freedom in March on a Fox News interview in 2021. That means absolutely not. That means as much as Ronna McDaniel mailing me, like, do you want us to talk about socialism? I don't care what you talk about, but if you talk about free speech and you pass a anti-free speech bill, the fact that you said it doesn't matter. And it's the same thing if you tweet about freedom. Every step of the way, the medical tyranny, it's the testing, mass testing, which Trump sent out. It's the ventilators that had a high death rate that Trump bragged about. It's the, the vaccines that Trump knew they were going to use against us, but he had no problem doing exactly what Bill Gates and Fauci wanted, passing the baton and then acting like a circus clown now and saying, hey, I would have fired him and Burks, but they were in office for too long. It's like, bro, it's becoming a show. And I think you're smart enough to see through it. I don't know if you're playing devil's advocate for the debate or you really believe yourself, but either way, I'm just curious.
It's just weird to me, right? It's just weird to me. Like when you say medical tyranny, right? And then you throw Trump in there. Now I'm not denying his ties to the system. I'm going to show you his ties to the system because you missing that mark. But I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is you can't just play one snippet and not play the whole phrase.
Well, that's what you just did. You just did that and said he said this in April 15th, but a week later he said to Georgia, when push came to shove, Georgia was opening. So he spoke against that when they were opening. The fact that he said it a week earlier, that's what you did.
Played a snippet. What did he say about
a week after when you said he said to open and liberate, he condemned basically Kemp and said, I don't agree with you. You should stick to the guidelines. So he has a platform. He's the leader of the free world, and he's psyoping conservatives into thinking Sweden and Georgia are bad for opening up. So when he lost the election due to mass mail-in ballots, it's his own fault for locking down the country. He was more pro-lockdown than Georgia was. And every which way, he never went back on that. He pushed the narrative of testing, ventilators, vaccines, and this whole lockdown, this whole medical tyranny is run by the mass testing scheme that he funded, that he operated, that he bragged about. He sat down with Phil Murphy in New Jersey, and in April, he gave him a thumbs up and said, he likes me, Newsom likes me, Cuomo likes me. So I don't care that he said something in March of 2021. That's nice, but it's like at this point, talk is cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with all of that, right? It's just that when you say medical tyranny, I don't see that when I hear him say we have these freedoms. But let's.
Yeah, but he's just saying. I'm just saying. You see what happened versus what he said. It's like I don't know. What he says doesn't really matter as far as what he did. What he did matters more than what he said. Your argument's like. Well, he said the word freedom on Fox News. It's like, whoa, man, the whole world just opened up when he said that. It doesn't mean anything. So empty words.
Empty words. I don't know. I think you got to read the whole thing. You got to let the man have his words. I'm not familiar with the Georgia thing. He might have condemned Kemp. I don't follow this stuff like you do. I know you.
And Sweden and Brazil for opening. Right, so he was pushing the narrative, which is it's a psychological thing. He's pushing the narrative of I'm Trump. I'm the savior of the free world. You don't want to be like Brazil. You don't want to be like Sweden, and you don't want to be like Georgia. You don't want to be free with your businesses open. You want to be locked down under Daddy Trump's guidelines. You know, that's the narrative he was pushing. Yeah, I agree. Sprinkled in, and that's why he's a paradox. You know, sprinkled in with liberation, sprinkled in with hydroxy. Like he's a total paradox where he did give you both sides of the equation, but when push came to shove, I think he sided with not us.
Yeah, you know, this is what's weird for me, right? Like when Trump got elected, the things that you're blaming him for now, I expected. So when his supporters heel turn, I go, how did you not see this coming?
Well, here's the thing, too, is I think the Trump base is powerful. And I think people in the Trump base are part of the business equation. Trump's a businessman. Everything you're saying is valid as far as what's he thinking? What's he talking about? He goes in a business meeting with Fauci, Gates, Pfizer. He's got big boy moves to make, no question. But we, the people, are supposed to be part of that business equation. I think the left looks at Black Lives Matter and the left like they're just nothing. We don't need to please them because they hate Trump so much. They're going to do what we say. So the right, I don't think Trump, and he lost, some of the white vote, he didn't, one, it's like racist to say anything to him, but also, it's like, I got those people unlocked. The Christian conservatives, what are they going to vote for Biden? So I feel like he doesn't, and I'm not fully blaming him, but the base, if they stood to him and said, this is what I believe in, I think he's movable. Biden's not even really there, So it's like,
I agree with that.
I think if you come to Trump and say, and respectfully, even all year, I wasn't saying F you. I'm saying, I'm at the rally. I'm saying, guys, stand up to Trump because he'll actually do something about it. Whereas you're not going to have that opportunity. And I think everybody was either afraid to do that, or you had the theories of like, he's playing 50,000 dimensional chess. And if you do that, you're going to get in the way of the pedos. And, it's like that really, I think was the demise of the base.
You hit on something, which is what I was trying to say. Trump plays to the base. And if the base moves, Trump moves. So when we think of these vaccines, right? Trump's base ain't as woke as you, right? Yeah. They're not on your, they're not on your level. So when these stabbies come down, the Trumpers you see on Twitter are a microcosm of the entire, 100 million people have taken this stabby already. Mm-hmm. A lot of them have been Trump supporters. These people believe in this medical system. Just like we know, majority of these people are sheep. It's people in this chat right now that probably went to go take it voluntarily, right? People believe in this. Trump isn't selling out his base if he's gone with what his base wants. His base wanted the stabbies. I already told you before, prior to, we agreed that his base was not anti-vax. So when he comes out and he pushes these things, what I'm saying is that he's giving America what they want. America wants this because they think they need this. Now, hold on 1 second. Let me just read these super chats. I know you got some thoughts. Damn, y'all been pouring these shit in. Erica Baum, this is my first time being here, and I'm really interested to hear this. Freedom and free speech. Mark S. Let's go, HJ. Wasted talent. Run this clinic, my G. Brody McFarland. See all the real ones at Hotep Week in August. Yes, Hotep Weekend is going to be in August. Last weekend in August. Make sure you get ready. We're going to announce those tickets on Thursday. Logosis, ready for this. Avery from Chicago, come with that Thanos energy, HJ. Puerto Rican Polo, shout out to Uncle Hotep and JBL. Hotep Tiger, Hotep and Bill. Dustin Schimmel, is it possible Trump pushed the vagine to reduce excuses to keep things locked down? Well, that's the point I was making. Red Sings the Blues. Hotep and An0maly, great collab. Love this. Thank you. Opinionated Junkie. Trump funded Dems back in the day. Facts. Ken Thoreau. Popcorn. Bobby Samdumu. Hotep Nation. Let's go. Appreciate you. Iceman Luke. I feel like Trump was the most hated man on the planet by the left and the neocons. He never wanted any of this, but I mean the machine won in his election year. Yeah, that's the point I was bringing up. Yeah, it's an election year. The rules change in election year. Ricky Green, the 13th, huh? I opened up my YouTube to this. Hotep drinks facts. Teddy, 24.99 super chat. Thank you. Sonny James, Trump was with us until the Ghislaine Maxwell apprehension by the Fed. Shortly after that, he marched to the tune of the deep state drum. To this day, it's going swimmingly well for Trump and Biden. Operation Mockingbird, folks, third party now. That's some heavy hitter stuff right there. Phil Shaw, Trump went hard for opening later in the year. He even got stupid 19 and said, look, no big deal. Yeah. John Childers, $150. Thank you, man. It's a big one. Tell Uncle I said hi. Absolutely. I'm sure he's in the chat. Shout out to Uncle Hotep. Sonny James, last one, An0maly. He said, by the way, QAnon ain't all wrong. Weird, yes. But even I'm starting to come to the slow realization we are run by pedos. So where's a country we can run to? So, yeah. So An0maly, it's just like.
Yeah, can I answer what you said before?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
because I think it was a good point as far as like people want it. When I was at a Trump rally, the least applause he got was when he talked about the vaccine. So out of everything he was pushing, it was the least popular, but he seemed to like to talk about it the most. So I think it's debatable how popular it is, but I do agree it's a polarizing topic and it's not super popular either way. But I think that his base loves him. So I think even when he does certain things that they've disagreed with, the idol worship on the Trump side is so large because in many ways he earned it early on by doing so much that he could have gotten away with it and still had support. You only have two options.
You say got away with it. Got away with what?
Well, not just turning into a Bill Gates salesman. I think he could have done that. But, in general, and this is why, let me finish real fast. No, don't cut me off because I'm going to finish. This is why the Republicans lose. You have two options and the left used that opportunity to move further left and the right uses that opportunity to move further left in hopes that they're going to gain these new votes. And that's why even when they win, they lose. So, I don't want, and also morally, it's like, if you're really going to be a leader, if you're going to sell snake oil or sell something that you don't believe in, should you be worshiped? Are you worthy of a Hotep Jesus hour, defense? And I'm not just saying that's what you're doing because you're speaking your mind too, but it's like at that point, then, yeah, you're just a politician. I'm sure George Bush, it was popular to go to Iraq and blow up a bunch of innocent people so Republicans will vote for him again. But that doesn't mean I have to, worship him. I'm able to call him out and say the Patriot Act is nonsense. So I think that's exactly why the right loses. They use the opportunity of the two-party system to move left. And, like Michael Malice says, the Republican Party of this year is further left than Obama was. And they have no plans to get it back and nobody cares. And none of the, it's like they don't even want to hear that. So it's a lose either way.
Yeah, I just don't understand. And I want to understand your thought process. Just don't understand how you put so much stock into Trump from the very beginning.
Well, I mean, I just think
I don't see this power that you speak of, right? When you say, oh, he could have done this and he could have done that. I've never seen that power in Trump. From 2016, you could ask my base. I told him once Trump said fake news, he did everything I expect him to do. Thank you, Trump. I'll take it from here, right? Like one of my famous quotes is, Trump wasn't here to save you. He was here to make it easier for you to save yourself. Right? It's really upon the people to keep Congress and the government in check and not vice versa. So when I see people go from, championing Trump to the heel turn, I'm like, did you really think, let's remove Trump from the situation completely. Do you really think the person that sits in that seat has power after you know who has the lobbying power in America? You think that President Trump or any other president is going to go against that lobbying power that you talked about that pulled the First Amendment from us? Do you really think he can defeat that beast? Do you think he's going to put his life on the line to defeat that beast? I wouldn't expect him to. If I sat in that seat, I damn sure wouldn't do it. Would you?
I would. Yeah, because I'm a moral person. I would die for my country rather than sell out my country. And that's what a real man is.
So you admit that if he did do these things, he'd have to die.
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that I would do it regardless of the consequences. I would not sell out my own people. And that's called honor. And that's what America doesn't have. That's what America doesn't have.
What happened to JFK?
What happened to MLK? What happened to Malcolm X?
Why did they murder JFK? Do you know that story?
For sure, but go ahead. You can.
No, I want you to tell us.
I mean, I've heard obviously the reasons that people say that he was going against the deep state or he was, challenging the intelligence communities, or some people say the Federal Reserve. I listen to RFK Jr. talk about it, and I think he knows pretty well. You know, what's up? How come he does it? How come he talks against it, even though he had 2 family members die? You know why? Because RFK has honor and integrity, and Trump doesn't. So I don't defend people that, oh, well, they sold us out because, you know, it's like, ma'am, too bad George Washington didn't turn around. He could have died in that river. Like, you know, no honorable person in history. You know, oh, Muhammad Ali could have got a brain aneurysm or, you know, deported or something. It's like real men, real honorable people. They stand up for what's right. They don't. I don't see that as an excuse personally. And honestly, he came into everybody. What you're saying is not what a lot of Trump supporters think. They think he is that person. So that's a problem. It's like a Shapiro where he's on my side, but then he's talking about mandatory vaccination. So I have to weigh in my head, do the pros outweigh the cons? Because at a certain point, that's what people would call controlled opposition. Like, how much is he really on our side? Is it helpful or is it hurtful? He leads people here, but then does he derail them? And that's like Trump. He led people there. He told people, like you were talking about earlier, you know, he called Rubio, you know, Sheldon Adelson's perfect little puppet. Like, he's going to mold you. Next thing you know, Trump's Republican Party's taking money from them. And he's giving his wife a presidential medal of freedom and doing these anti-First Amendment stuff. So the problem is not just with him. It's that everybody worships him as if he is Christ, when in reality, what you're trying to make as the argument is he turned out to be a puppet because he's afraid.
No,
but that's not what the base
turned out. Well, I said he was a puppet from the beginning.
Yeah, but the base doesn't know that. So with my platform, I'm trying to wake the base up in the same way that I woke people up in 2016 through 19 to be like, listen, the media's lying, the press. I'm not a politician. I'm not, my job is not, even though I made one song, my job is not to worship Trump. And you know damn well that there's a lot of grifters out there who do that. It's like people made full-time Trump jobs, but that's not who I am. I'm not a grifter, but you can vote for me on grifties.com, but I don't think I deserve it.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, comedian once said, I forget who it was. They said, when you become president, it might've been George Carlin, you become president, they show you the JFK tape, right? You ever heard that before? You ever heard that joke?
But what better way to go out? If you're 77 and you're Donald Trump, you lived the greatest life probably any American ever. The dude is a boss. He's lived. What better way to go out than saving your country with the truth bomb? I wouldn't want to live, especially at 77. I would sacrifice myself at 31. At 77, you're not going to sacrifice yourself for your country to liberate them and tell them the truth.
Well, what I find is that there's these people that champion this, I die for this country. But I think the mantra should be, I would live for this country. See, once you die, you're gone. You can't do anything about it. When JFK died for what he believed in, what the deep state wanted to do was still implemented. So he died basically in vain, right? We may have the historical record and things brought, to the forefront about what happened and make people a little bit work. And that's cool. But I'm not in the business of dying for the truth. I'm in the business of living for the truth, right? But let's fast forward a bit.
But he's not living for the truth. There's other Republicans who are speaking more truth than Trump is. Naomi Wolf, a liberal feminist who worked for Gore, is speaking more truth than Trump. Russell Brand, who's connected to the industry, is speaking more truth than Trump. I just don't think Trump's who people thought he was, and maybe you never thought he was, but there's people who are willing to risk stuff. It's like, yeah, you could live a dishonorable life and you'll have to wear a mask for 40 hours a day, but that's no way to live either. So there's other people in politics who are doing way more than Trump. I think it's a cop out to say, he's out of office now. He has to just push the script now. Then he's just another puppet, and I don't need to worship him.
When Trump did puppety things all throughout his term, I used to tell people, that's above his pay grade. There are certain things in this country that are above the president's pay grade. When we go look back in history, we have people like Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson was taking cues from Secretary Lansing and Colonel Mandel House. These presidents, especially somebody as inexperienced as Trump, I didn't expect much from politically. Also, I knew that the people in office who have more experience than him were going to run circles right around him. You know who was really running this country? Jared Kushner and Mike Pence. That's who. Hold on. Let me talk. Let me talk.
Go ahead.
Talk. Jared Kushner and Mike Pence. I used to tell people, don't listen to Trump, listen to Pence. And when you listen to Pence, I was like, Pence is dangerous because he's got this thing down cold. He knows his politics stuff better, way better than Trump, way better than a lot of people. Pence is cold. That's a cold brother right there. So I used to tell people, like, don't put too much stock in Trump. Right? I don't vote. I remember when the 2016 election came around and I waited till election night. People were like, who'd you vote for? I'm like, I didn't vote. I don't believe in this system. I don't believe in these presidents because I know the president is an inept position. It's an impotent position. So when I see other people come out and they champion Trump and then they heel turn and go, Trump sold us out. I'm going, do you not know how this country works? Because it seems like that's just naivety. And I'm going to drop you a gem. I'm going to drop you a gem right here and I'm going to let you speak. And I'm going to ask a question with it. You was a little boy then. You might not even been born. Who bailed out Trump when he had bankruptcy with the Taj Mahal?
I've heard the Rothschilds, but I don't know if that's true or not.
So how in the hell did you get behind a guy and expect anything great from him?
What do you, if you go to your Instagram, you got 7 pictures of you Photoshop with Trump. Like I'm
yes, yes, I do. But
yeah,
I'm
and you
also
like him, and
honest,
you like him enough to defend him here.
But I'm also truthful with my base. And
well, so am I.
Do you watch Hotep's Been Told You every Thursday at 8 p.m. with Uncle Hotep?
No, I don't watch every Thursday.
Okay, if you watch it every Thursday at 8 p.m. with Uncle Hotep, you would have context to why you see me in pictures with Trump. You would have context to why that is there.
No, I get it.
It's called trolling.
Yeah,
I know you're familiar with trolling, right?
No, it's good. It's good marketing.
I'm also honest with my base. I'd be like, yeah, I could go ahead and vote for Trump. I ain't voting for him.
Yeah, but what you're saying is I agree. Okay, he wasn't going to reinvent the wheel. I had low expectations. I'm not one of these people that you have pictures with you with the MAGA hat on, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't.
It wasn't my MAGA hat, though.
Okay, that's fine. You don't have pictures of me. Even in my prime I go to Trump rallies. I never like Trump. Because I like Trump, and there's nothing wrong with saying that.
So
but in general, the point I'm getting to is I had very low expectations. I did not expect him, and maybe that's my own fault, to lose more freedom than Bush, Obama, and Clinton combined. And I don't think I don't think a lot of people did. So it's my right. I didn't fully blow it. I'm a Trump supporter. I made videos and I said, hey, listen, I was never this way. Here's why I feel the way I feel. And I red-pilled millions of people and also helped a lot of people get on that had logic and wisdom to share. And a lot of people who broke out of the mind control. So you trying to pigeonhole me as like, oh, you grift off of Trump. There's hundreds of influencers who grift off of Trump. Nobody who's watched me over the last 4 years think that that's all that I've done. And especially in the COVID.
I wouldn't say that.
In the COVID.
I would never paint you like that. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but I have a low bar. And this was inexcusable. So the point I'm trying to make in general is you have the base of conservatives and freedom fighters that has now been engulfed by Trump. They're Trump supporters. Trump is the biggest movement in this country. They're all looking up to him. He's, even you're admitting now, is not doing what they say. So that's a problem in this country is you have the freedom, conservative, libertarian base. 60, 70, 80% of them are idolizing this person like a deity when he's really becoming a socialist communist. So every step of the way, that's all I was doing, whether it was Bush, whether it was Obama, whether it was Trump. I don't know what you do on Hotep's Done Told You every week. And
Hotep's
I'm
been
sure
told you.
Hotep's been told you. But as far as, every which step of the way, exposing the testing, the numbers, the percentages, the World Health Organization, the PCR, the Sweden numbers, I've been debunking all that stuff, whether it's media or Trump. So I don't know what point you're trying to make when early on, I don't think you.
Can I tell you the point I'm trying to make?
For sure.
The point I'm trying to make is I see people putting too much stock in Trump. And
totally.
It seems totally exposed when it's, I like Trump to Trump sold us out. Whereas I'm looking at it like,
it's one song. You had to lie just to get this debate. You said, would you do a whole album? No, I don't do albums like Bryson. And no disrespect, I like Bryson, but you know that. You said I did a whole album. I did one song. And in the song, it's about the media. I talk about Dr. Sebi. I talk about, I'm dropping gems for the people in the song. And that's what the hook is. So, you had to exaggerate just to book this debate. It's not my whole life. I did one song. I had interviews where people were trying to say, you're the Trump rapper. You're the Trump. I declined them all because I said, I'm not a Trump rapper. I made one song with Trump's name in it. So did Mac Miller. Is he a Trump rapper? So did 20 different rappers. It's like, it's not, I made it because I was inspired to make it, because his energy and what he was bringing to the country inspired the song. So I agree with you that, the base for sure needs to not put so much stock in it. That's the whole point of what I've been saying over the last 2 years. So in order to make your point, you have to disingenuously act like I was putting all my stock into it because I made one song, and you had to lie about it and say he made a whole album. That's fake news.
It's hyperbole. But, you asked me what was my point, right? And before you cut me off just now, I want to finish my statement to tell you my point, okay? So again, my point is you went from making the beautiful song, I Like Trump, and I don't think you should take it back. I think it's a beautiful song. I love that song. It's probably 1,000 plays are attributed to me of that song. If y'all never heard An0maly's song, I Like Trump, you need to play it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful song. And like you said, you mentioned a lot of great people in it, like Dr. Sebi. You know Dr. Sebi, Hotep. Well, that song hit me, right? What my point is, I don't understand how someone can go from that, and let me finish, can go from that to Trump sold us out. See, when you see me with pictures, Photoshop with Trump, when you see me with the MAGA hat on, I don't retroactively say, yo, Trump's selling this out. I keep it consistent throughout all these years. I've kept it consistent. Hey, Trump called out fake news. He beat Hillary. That's my guy. But he did this. I don't really care. I expected him to do that. But he did this. I don't really care. I expected him to do that. But he did this. I don't really care. I expected him to do that. Let me finish my thought. So my point is, I'm just trying to figure out, like, where, because I look at you as somebody who understands this world and how it works, right? I look at you as one of the truthers, one of the original people who understand how this world works. So when I see you do the heel turn, I'm questioning, I'm like, he can't be grifting. But did he really believe that Trump was the type of guy to die for this country? Because I never got that impression. So I'm trying to understand, why did you think he was that type of guy from the beginning?
When you call it a heel turn, I do news analysis. So when he's crushing it, I'm saying he's crushing it. When the media lies about him, I say the media is lying about it. And when he's lying about stuff and becoming a communist, socialist, lockdown medical tyrant, I say that. So there is no big heel turn. It's just me doing my job and me being honest. As far as, 100 million plus people, maybe in the world, hundreds of millions of people look up to him as their idol. Hundreds of millions of people looked up to him to save the country. Yeah. And he sold those people out. And I told him that. As far as, why you can't fathom it, I don't know. Why can't you make videos as good as I make? And why can't you deep dive and do the work that I do? Because you're not me and you never could be. So I don't, it's not some big mystery. It's like you talk condescending to me, and I don't mind. It's a debate, but it's like, I can't figure it out. It's like, rewind the debate and figure out why you can't figure out what you're talking about 40 minutes ago when I smoked you, because you don't know what you're talking about. Not about the lockdown, not about the extension, not about medical tyranny, not about the testing, not about Operation Warp Speed or I get it. You knew he was, but I think his supporters deserve to know that are idolizing him. He sold them out. And, he wasn't the guy that they thought he was.
Yeah, as my intentions was not to be condescending. So if I was condescending, I apologize. But that wasn't my intentions. I just want to understand, why did you believe he was that type of guy from the beginning? Because I knew he wasn't. I knew that he was bailed out by the Rothschild in the 90s. So I don't know how you expected this guy to be some miracle savior when I saw him as being aligned with certain people in power. I just don't know how you thought that.
I didn't, though. If you go back to debates in 2018, I'm debating QAnon people, praying medic, Jordan Sather. Yeah. And I'm telling them what you're talking about sounds like, I know you have the Bill Cooper book. I don't know where it is, but you brought it up last time. Great book. Where I'm like, you guys are wishing for what Bill Cooper said, warned about. You guys want martial law. So I was debunking that stuff in 2018. I read the comments. Yeah, pedophiles are real. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this savior martial law thing to me was always a psyop. I called it out in 2018. I was on people like Adam Green and, people who who've been banned off YouTube for criticizing Trump as a Zionist. And I was on all their shows for years debating, well, I appreciate what he's doing right now. I hear what you guys are saying. I see all the connections, but as far as him balancing the books right now, he's doing a pretty damn good job. He stopped the war in Syria. He's getting along with North Korea. He was crushing it for a puppet. You know, I'm like, listen, if that's what it is, let him go. And then, you know, he ended up tanking the country, not just him, but under his watch, tanking the country harder than Bush, Obama, and Clinton combined. I have to say, as somebody who saw medical tyranny coming, it was semi a shock. But once the lockdown happened, I was like, damn. And then I watched him just kind of go along with it, you know? So I don't know that it's this huge flip flop, but I definitely expected more. And maybe that's my fault than socialism, communism, medical tyranny, and him becoming a vaccine salesman. I didn't see that coming. So I had a low bar for him and he somehow went below it. And now the base doesn't want to hear it. And I think that's a huge problem because until the base wakes up and demands something else, like you said, they'll get what they did. Liberals are getting what they deserve. Essentially, in my opinion, prisoner status, and the right, if you want that, you're going to get that. So I'm not okay with that. I don't like what they're doing to my family, the kids. So I don't think it's a big flip flop. I think you're misdiagnosing that, but it's all good.
No, it's no problem. Are you familiar with Operation Warp Speed and when that was implemented?
I think in May or at least April, but yeah, April. Of course. April.
Yeah. And he was championing Operation Warp Speed. You don't like Operation Warp Speed, right?
Well, no, because he's just funneling billions of dollars to these companies, you know, and he takes credit for rushing it past Fauci. So yeah, I think that was a betrayal for sure.
I got some tweets here I want to read.
Okay.
November 26, 2020. What Trump did to combat media brainwash alone is more than any president in modern history. God bless this man.
I'm a positive person. I will never take away what he did. What he did to combat media brainwashing is one of the biggest accomplishments in modern history. He's a paradox. He did this, but I'm not a cold-hearted person. So yeah, I stand by that 1,000%. Bless him. And I appreciate that he did that.
That was a beautiful tweet from you. That was one of the tweets. I'm like, hell yeah. And, you know, for me, I felt like that was the end of his job. You know, like Maj Toure sells shirts that says most effective devil in America, media. And again, going back to my quote, I said, Trump wasn't here to save you. He was here to make it easier to save yourself. I have another tweet here, November 13th, 2020, from you. It says, in response to a blue check liberal, says Donald Trump shuffles cards, won't do a lockdown. We want Biden to shuffle his cards, enact human slave treatment lockdown on our country. Good work, idiots. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you're defending Trump against the lockdown.
No. I'm just calling out their hypocrisy where they're flip-flopping on what I consider human slavery. So no, I've never defended it. But I want to say on you saying that Trump made it easier. If he just didn't do much and went out of office, listen, he did what he did. What was the final move out of office? People were expecting him to pardon somebody, lock somebody up. He set his own supporters up with the feds. The 6th event was a setup event, and Trump set his own supporters up. Is he just making it easier for Trump supporters? He made it harder for Trump supporters to organize. Every great freedom fighter, anti-lockdown, and Trump organizer, for the most part, was at that event on the 6th, and they got set up. Most of them are getting charges or they're in trouble and they're laying low. And now there is no anti-lockdown protest because Trump set them up. So this idea that he just did enough and helped everybody a lot, I don't agree. I don't agree at all. I think he set up his own supporters and unapologetically just waddled out of office as everybody's getting, raided by the FBI.
November 15th, 2020. I'm trying to get on Trump's schedule. Sleep 4 to 5 hours, wake up and immediately start talking shit.
So yeah, it's a good joke, right? It's fun. He only sleeps 4 hours. He wakes up and starts talking shit at 5 a.m. You got to love it.
I have another one here. Says Gavin Newsom is the authoritarian fascist that liberals claim Trump was for 4 years. He is destroying his state, cities, and businesses like a dictator. Devil.
Yep. And Trump, when that was happening, I know because I was in California, Trump was giving him the thumbs up. So as he was taking over just total control over the state, and when push really came to shove, Trump gave him the thumbs up. It wasn't until months later that he pretended to have a problem with it. But I'm guessing they're probably good friends because they seem to get along in the same room. But yeah, I appreciate you reading my tweets. I got some classics.
I got some more here. But I want
everyone you've read so far, I've stood by. I don't know. It's like me saying Gavin Newsom is authoritarian. It's like,
yeah, well, okay. Right now we have 1,900 people in the building, and you've said some beautiful things on Twitter, and I'd like to share them with the people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
I think it's very important that people understand who the real dictators are, and you've said it that Gavin Newsom's acting like a fascist dictator, devil. And I think that's true.
And in the Republican Party, and I think this is like the main point I'm trying to get across is they keep moving left, and people like Shapiro and Kirk and even Trump to some extent, they try to fight the right wing. Oh, it's the Fuentes and stuff, where it's like they do more of that. You had Governor Abbott talking about Gab. I don't even use Gab, but I know you've been showing love to Gab for years, even before it's super
Gab.com/Hotep Jesus. Yep.
Yeah. He seems like a good guy. I like him. At least his tweet. Yeah, he seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
Governor Abbott is sitting there trying to take down Gab he's talking about. So it's this type of stuff that I'm trying to wake Republicans up to. No. They're fighting for us. No. He's got it. And I'm like, it's not really a flip flop. I'm like, they don't have it. And I would love to see the base stand up to them, because I think even with Trump pressuring Kemp, now Kemp is like running around because he's about to get replaced. Like Trump was comfortable, he was in the pocket and just loved, which is nice. I don't want people to hate him, but I feel like that was a big mistake of the base. I'm even more disappointed with the base than with Trump, because I feel like the base had 8 months there where they could have possibly made a stand, but everybody was waiting because they thought there was this sick plan happening. And the sick plan ended up being the 6th event, where whether it was by a mistake or on purpose, I don't know, Trump supporters got set up. And not only did that not help us help ourselves, it set us up. It's like Biden is digging us in a hole, and it's like digging a bigger hole for us to go in, because now you have organizers that are being treated like terrorists. I even got a phone call, and I wasn't even there, trying to tag me into it. So I'm like, man, this guy, he's getting me set up. And I even said, I don't want to go. I don't support the vaccine salesman, but they're using that combined, I think, with the Patriot Act to now label all Trump supporters terrorists. And it's unfortunate, but I don't think he really helped us at the end right there.
Yeah, totally. Business Insider says, Trump says the great American comeback is underway and stupid 19 cases surge. President Donald Trump tweeted on Sunday that there will be no lockdowns, right? This is Donald Trump. We have another one here from BBC News that says U.S. election 2020, October 29th. Trump slams lockdowns. Biden accuses him of insulting victims. I got another one here. Stupid 19. What Donald Trump thinks of lockdowns. 20-second video where he condemns the lockdowns. NBC News. April 20th, 2020. Trump says some governors have gone too far on lockdown measures.
But then 2 days later, he condemns a Republican for opening up fully. No, they put on a good show. They definitely put on a really good circus for the masses to feel like they're winning something. But until they get to the root of the cases, and I think Chris Guy put it, he's the guy in Canada who's been rebelling a lot. He put it perfect. Everybody's telling you, put on a mask, let Trump rush the vaccines, do this, and then you're going to be free. But the opposite is actually true. The more we comply, whether it be DeSantis, Trump, Abbott, the more they do, and the longer it lasts. So everybody thinks, I'll put on the mask and I'll get the vaccine, or I'll let him push it. But it's like Lucy with the football. Every time you get their destination, they move the goalpost. So the only way to win no Trump base is to stop thinking this idea of winning is pleasing the left and following their rules, that they literally don't believe anything they say. So it's going to take someone to put their foot down, whether it's the base or a leader, because no one's really doing it. They're just playing along. Even DeSantis doing a great job, better than anybody else. We got 75% of them vaccinated, this and that, we're testing. And the more you test, the more people that get vaccinated, they're going to turn at the non-vaccinated population and say, hey, why not get a passport? I got it. Why don't you get it? So It's like they're playing into the hand. with this idea that that's going to end the lockdown or quarantine state. But this testing is here to stay until a Republican leader really gets to the root of it and says, stop, and I don't know what that takes, because right now we're sitting ducks, like that we don't have enough power, and they ran the show. A+ to them, F- for the people last year. Like we're sitting ducks.
November 16th, 2020, 6:22 p.m. Eastern time, you tweeted, and I quote, "I'm 100% behind Trump, and I'm 110% committed to saving businesses from the communist lockdowns designed to kill this country."
When was this?
November 16th, 2020.
I was giving him a couple months for sure. I was trying to, people get really upset April, March, May, June, July. I'm trying to tell people stuff. They don't want to hear it. So with the base, I'm saying, listen, I support him. I don't want Biden to be elected. Let him take every legal measure. I support him. And even with these, protest leaders, I'm like, guys, we got to focus on the lockdown, but the base doesn't want to hear that. They're focused on the election. So my whole thing was like, I support what you guys are doing, but come January, please focus on the lockdowns. That was kind of my plea, because I'm not powerful enough and I don't have enough sway to make the entire Trump base care about the lockdowns, because November through January, they didn't care, it was all election, none of the lockdowns. And to me, that seemed like the trap. From March, don't say that, An0maly, wait till the election. Don't say that, An0maly, just wait till after the election. Don't say that, An0maly, wait till January. Don't say that, wait till March. And I'm like, guys, that's the trap. So yeah, I was trying to compromise.
You said you wanted to give him a few months. Operation Warp Speed was in April, but this tweet was in November. That's more than a few months. And you said, I'm 100% behind President Trump.
About the re-election. That was when he was fighting for re-election. So as far as, everybody's saying he should go out, he should get this. And I said, let him try every legal measure possible. I think him in court and the Supreme Court, give it a go. So yeah, that was what that was referring to is, there were a lot of Republicans turning on him saying, just give up, bro. It's over. The election's over. And at that point I was like, listen, there's a legal.
Wait.
Legal measures.
Wait, the election was on the 20th, right?
No, I think it was like the 8th. I think the election was like the 8th. I don't know. Let's see. 2020 election. Yeah, it was on November 3rd.
November 3rd. Okay.
Yeah. So that was like a couple weeks after.
So what you're saying is what again? That you were throwing him some bail because of, you think there was some fraudulent stuff, right?
I had made my point about what I thought about the lockdowns, his role. I've made it for 8 months. I'm not just going to keep screaming the same thing. So yeah, when that was all happening, people were saying, a lot of even Fox News was saying, it's over, give it up. And I said, listen, he has a right to challenge it. He has a right to take every legal option. And then it started getting sloppy around like January, but in November, it seemed plausible, and even in the betting odds, like, Truman, they had said he won and or vice versa, so I was like, give him some time. Don't kick him out yet.
November 15th, 2020, 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you said, don't bet against Donald John Trump. I think that's in regards to him potentially pulling out the election, right?
Totally. Yeah. I thought, after the election, I thought that he had a chance to prove it. Yeah, for sure. But that didn't happen.
So again, right? This is what worries me. You know what I mean? And it's just like Operation Warp Speed happened in April. November, you said you 100% behind him. And now it's just like, Trump sold us out. And it's just like, are you leading sheep to slaughter?
No, not at all. I called in March, April, May, June. I said everything about Operation Warp Speed, everything about Sweden, everything about the lockdowns, everything about everything, testing, tracing, ventilators. I said all that. But at a certain point, you realize that, the people who are listening, and that's fantastic. And a lot of the Trump base didn't want to hear it because of the election. So when you have, realistically, he's the biggest leader of the freedom people. Even when I go to these freedom rallies, it's all Trump people. So I level with them and I say, I'm not going hard on Trump, hard on you because I hate you. You're going to save the country. It's not going to be liberals. So we need you to do something. But after the election, it was clear people did not want to hear what I was saying. They only wanted to focus on the election. And honestly, like the first month or at least 2 months, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, let him figure that out. Because if he's not president, nothing he says or does matters at this point. So, I try to be reasonable. Like you were saying, I don't put everything on him. Don't say he's the greatest, he's my idol. But at the same time, I'm not a spiteful person. So I make a joke or I say, God bless him. I don't have hate in my heart. I don't have anger towards him. So yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Or like, let the base do what they want to do for 2 months and see if they can get results, but they didn't. And here we are, there was no overturn of the election.
Let me get in some super chats and then we'll get into the final. We'll start landing this plane here. Sunny James, $50 super chat. Thank you. She said, Vac or no, everyone here of either political variety needs to research biosurveillance and the new fake war on germs. Heavy hitters meant to make some gains like those in the Davos University. No conspiracy, they say it themselves. Shar Kroger, that's woke right there from Sunny James. Shar Kroger, if you haven't seen The Swamp, you'd believe that these corporations are the lobbyists. They're not. The elected officials are the lobbyists. Pete from Round the Way, An0maly is doing what the Shines did to Kanye. They worshipped who they thought he was, then overcorrected by canceling him. HJ never worshipped Donald John Trump. Olivia Rondeau, she says, An0maly is kind of fine. White boy summer.
Can I respond? Well, not to that, because I'm not trying to get laid, but can I respond to the last one where you're misdiagnosing what I said? I never worship Trump. In fact, I would say you support him heavier than I do, where I get you say I knew he was a puppet. You guys are lying about what I've done for the last 3 years. All my videos show it. I've never been a full-blown sycophant of any sorts. I've always called out the hypocrisy. I've called out Trump in 2019 with bump stocks, with speech laws. So it's just another day at the office of me doing good news analysis. It's like only in your heads am I this massive worshiper who was telling everybody he was going to save their entire life and then freaked out at them. That's a fake news, fake, thing that you guys are making up. That doesn't exist, and people who watch me know that. So that's like the whole premise of the disagreement we have, is that happened and it never happened. So I don't, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. B Weezy Bird, $4.99 super chat. Bashing Trump after he's left office, despite bringing the most voters ever for the Republican Party, is going to lose those voters. Good question. Teddy T-Bout, Hotep, thanks for this intellectual stimulation. An0maly, you're very insightful. Yes, he is. An0maly has been very insightful. That was one of my insidious reasons for putting this together, because I feel like y'all need to hear some of the stuff he's saying, because it's very real and it's very concerning. Bobby, $20 super chat. Trump can't lock down / open any state. NYC was a different animal, especially propaganda. People were scared and thought Trump was not helping when everyone was dying. He had to answer every request for medical equipment / stabbies. That's true. That's true. 10th Amendment says he can't do that. Paul Lovato, Hotep Jesus used that dragon energy to Hotep and build. An0maly used it to grift and then grift some more after hindsight. Nah, be nice, people. Be nice. Johan is dope. RFK is decoy opposition. When it comes to Trump, you can't force red pill everyone. It goes wrong quick. You can't get foreign politics doing that. Monica Yu, if you should live for this country instead of die, then why not use your voice while alive to fight against lockdowns and vax passports, which Trump didn't? Excellent point. Excellent point, Monica. Sonny James, presidency, a whole psyop. Fake war and terror. We get a guy that sounds like an Iman. We supposed to fight China, and we got literal reality czars. America's not the land of the free and the brave. We are a damn LARP. I think they're trolling us. Either more, this should be a conversation, not a debate. I'm loving this conversation. Holly S, 199, thank you. Mary O'Donnell, would An0maly be having this conversation, making this argument if Trump won this past election? Avery from Chicago, young Pharaoh should have been moderator. Abel Tapia, my bad, you just got skipped. All right, there you are. I like you both a lot. Solid points. We're on the right side. Peace and love. Thank you. Johan is dope. I believe in the debate with YP. You said Trump was only the safety net, voice for the people, not the actual solution. So what's the disconnect? Opinionated junkie, base is not the majority. LOL. Yeah, that was my point with the whole stabbies. I'm like, y'all think I was sitting on the plane with some white folks that was not Trumpers that voted for Trump. Def Jules. So basically, An0maly is mad at Trump because the feds called him.
No. It's just I said in April that he was pushing communism and medical tyranny, but at a certain point, what am I going to say? The same thing over and over. I make videos. I try to show people things instead of just saying it. And, like after the election, I don't know. I said my piece, but when you have two options, either you don't vote or you pick the person that you think is slightly better. I've never been that mad at him. I've never been that worshiping him. In fact, like I said, I debated Q people in 2018 and said that they were worshiping way too hard. I never fell for that psyop. I always called out that they wanted martial law and that they were looking for tyranny. And no, I was on that since 2018. So it's not a big deal.
Armando Munoz, $5 super chat. He said, I'd like An0maly to explain how a president would even stop the lockdowns if most federal agencies were in an open revolt. 2020 was a mutiny. You want to answer that?
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, obviously they're signing executive orders, they're signing papers. Like Trump says what he wants, usually, even when he's doing something. He didn't have to tell Thomas Massie that he wants to kick Thomas Massie out of the party. So it's like you have someone who's standing up and saying something real to Republicans, and Trump says, kick him out of the party. He's the only one who stood against the communist and socialist takeover. So it's like only in people's heads was Trump really fighting. It's like, I don't know if he's the leader and he has a voice. He's used it before to do stuff, right? It's like the first three quarters, he's up 20, up 20, up 20, loses by 100, and everyone's just falling for the Trojan horse. So that's been the whole point of what I'm trying to say is, he has ways outside of legislation, even just with his voice, and he continuously uses those to brag about rushing the FDA to push this vaccine. And it's a betrayal because Trump knows this stuff. He tweeted about it before he was in office, and that's the real flip-flop. So if people want to justify him basically selling out his country, bringing in slavery, communism, and medical tyranny because he's afraid of the consequences, then just say what you think. Trump's a coward, and he never was who a lot of people thought he was. That's what you're basically saying is like, well, he had to do it. Okay, then when is a leader going to come that's not going to do that? Because the Republican Party in current form is a disgrace, and they're never going to stop anything. Texas is this close to turning blue with Beto O'Rourke, and all of this is happening. So either you're going to get a guy that can stop it, or it's just a big spectacle for people to feel like they're doing something.
Wise words, wise words. Ricky Green, $20 super chat. He said, this is literally the epitome of grifting. Yeah, we getting our grift on. Thank you, Ricky. Sonny James, Trump shouldn't be the hill to die on. It ain't hurting China or Russia. So vote Xi or Putin. We've been asleep as the consumer's will, folks. Damn, she woke. Cram Della Cram. Kent Thoreau is correct. Did I skip Kent Thoreau? Ken, he said, don't get emotionally invested in politics. Just in case I skipped that. That's very important. So I'm glad I read that twice if I did. Patriot J said, Hotep Jesus versus An0maly is greater than Godzilla versus King Kong. JVAS said, does An0maly want the president to have more power? Do you want Trump to control how states handled stupid 19?
I would like to see a president with morality, and he has some power. Obviously, he's the president. He doesn't have dictator power, but he used his leverage in some cases to pass executive orders for the pharmacy industry and executive orders for speech laws. I get if your stance of like he was never who people thought he was, that makes sense. But everybody wants to make excuses like, do you want this? It's like, dude, he passed an anti-Semitism speech law to stop you from criticizing the country that really runs the Republican Party. And you guys still run in circles around them thinking they're fighting big tech. They never fought big tech. They were never seriously taking on free speech. And he used all his executive power to do, in some cases, the exact opposite. So do I want him to be a dictator? No. Do I have to act like he's crushing it when in reality he blew it in the last year? I'm not going to.
Cassius Cam said, you are both prominent voices. We need to prosper as free people. An0maly has been consistent, but I think Hotep Jesus is trying to tell you that you're calling spades in a stacked deck. God bless both y'all, Hotep. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but I'm not calling spades because when you look at my work, you go to my Instagram, you look at what I'm doing with the PCR test. Kary Mullis, learn about Kary Mullis, the inventor of the PCR test. These videos are getting millions of views, getting to the core of what's going on. So you guys trying to paint me like I'm calling a spade a spade. No, I'm doing some of the most important work right now, getting to the root of this BS, human slave scheme. And it's getting through to the left, it's getting through to the right, and it's reaching tens of millions of people a week. Stuff that DeSantis won't do, that Trump won't do, that I'm guessing you don't even do on this channel. So this idea that I don't know what it's talking about and that calling a spade, no, watch my videos and watch how many people are seeing them and waking up to them and crediting me being like, dude, I was total lefty and pro lockdown until I saw that. So every week I'm getting to the core of what's going on. And that's what I'm doing. It's just, if it at the core of it is not, oh my God, I love Trump. And it never was. So that, that's what it is.
An0maly, take it easy, because you're throwing jabs now, right? Like you said, we're not covering it on this channel. It's not true. You should listen to the Hoteps more. We had our resident Hotep chemist, shout out to Dr. Tanai Ricks, come on and give a scientific breakdown on the PCR testing. We're Hoteps. We've been on top of this thing before you was born. You see what I'm saying? So relax.
You've been throwing jabs the whole time. I'm just saying.
Relax when you say.
I'm relaxed. I'm just saying my work speaks for itself. So your opinion, your viewer's opinion, and you're like condescending. Like I'm trying to figure out why you do this. Like you can't get inside my head because if you could, you'd be able to do the work I could do. But you can't. An0maly, which is okay. But I won't hold it against you, Hotep. You could never be me. It's okay. You do you, I do me, and we'll let our work speak for ourselves. That's fine.
An0maly. I've said many times that. I even said just a few moments ago, I said the great thing about bringing you on this platform was so that you could give some of this truth to the people. And I said there's a lot of beautiful things that you bring to the people. And I'll say it again, I think you're a great voice and people need to glue into your content. I have never tried to degrade your content.
No, I appreciate that. And I wouldn't come on here if I didn't appreciate what you do in your mind. And I stood up for you years ago when they were trying to call you, Hold
on. I've never tried to degrade your content. So when you try to degrade content and say, I doubt you've covered that on this channel, that's a slight. And it's cool.
Well, yeah,
don't cut me off.
It's intentional. It's intentional, Hotep, because you've been slighting me the whole time by saying, I'm trying to figure out your tone is very condescending. Your attitude is very condescending and you could try to fool people and it's not. So it's an intentional jab to say you could never be me. So after 30 minutes of this like passive aggressive jabbing at me, I'm just being honest. I'm not angry. I'm not mad. I'm just passionate and saying that's the facts. That's the truth. So, you could rewind the tape and act like I wasn't talking to you like a baby. I'm trying to figure out you were this guy, you were that guy. It's like, you could never be me, bro. But you do okay. And I'm proud of you.
You're right. I could never be you. That's fact. I'm me and you're you. And I love what you do with your YouTube channel. You do great things with your YouTube channel. And I help spread your message because I think your message is great, right? But I would never detract from your content. Right. So all I'm just saying is I just didn't appreciate, like, I forgive you. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I just didn't appreciate when you said we don't cover that on the channel because people are watching and I don't want them to get the impression that we don't cover this on this channel because like I said, we had a doctor come on and cover this. In 2019, I had Sister Samaya come on and talk to him about some of the bills that were passed that were removing religious exemptions over the vagine.
Okay.
I had Dr. Shiva on his channel to come in and talk about these things. Last Friday, I had Andrew Esquire from Legal Mindset, a great YouTube channel that everybody here should watch. I brought him on his channel and we covered 3 major topics. One of them happened to be the lockdowns. One of them happened to be what this government can and cannot do with the passports, the stabby passports. So when you say things like, I doubt you cover that on this channel, I just brought an attorney on to talk about how we can fight these passports just last Friday. So I just find that really unfair and I don't detract from your content So I just in that moment, I just didn't appreciate when you said because I don't want these people to think I don't cover that content, because that's not true.
Understood. And I think that, you know, if you do cover all that stuff, that's fair and that's reasonable. But as far as, you know, the entire time I've been on this platform, we've had a great time. I had a good time today, but, you know, it's like the entire time, the attitude, like I'm questioning certain things, you're questioning certain things, but you're trying to make it seem like I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. And you're jabbing with the attitude, which is fine. But it's like, I say one thing back, we're like, I'm trying to figure out like who you really are, what you really are. It's like, I'll tell you. That's, you know, so I apologize. I said you don't cover stuff that you cover. That's true. But as far as, you know, that
I didn't say that who you are. I didn't say that. I said, I'm trying to figure out why you didn't know we couldn't trust Trump.
But that's a straw man argument. It's a false premise. Just like the multiple things you said. I never said that.
I think of you so highly. I think of you as somebody who understands how the system would work. So when you go from I'm 100% for Trump to Trump sold us out, I'm like, why would you be surprised? I thought you were one of the woke ones. I'm giving you props.
They're saying I thought you were one of the woke ones, implying that I'm not, where you're taking things out of context.
I'm giving you props.
No, I know, but yeah, it's all condescending. I know it's like I get what you're saying, but it's like, I thought you were this, I thought you were that, implying that I'm not. Like, I thought you were smart. I thought if I said that to you, you'd feel slighted, because that's what it is. It's like a passive aggressive, condescending tone that you've had this whole time. And I don't mind it. I've done debates before, but as far as your whole premise is based off a straw man argument that isn't real, that I was worshiping Trump, that I thought he was everything. He was my golden calf and my idol. And anybody that watches my channel knows, like with your channel, that's not true. That was never my thing. I always did the opposite in 2018, 2019, 2020. I made one song. You had to lie and say it was a whole album. So, you know, the passive aggressive condescension for an hour and a half to playing the victim, like I'm not doing it. I'm just saying, like, you know, I'm not a dummy. So you don't have to treat me like one. And like, if I thought you were smart, I thought you were, no, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm a grown man. It's not a big deal, but it's like, I thought you were smart. I thought you were woke. Do I talk to you like that? Of course not. But I don't mind that you do. But
you speak to me worse. You said you can never be me, right? And I would never want to take the conversation.
Well, that's how I feel, because after an hour of condescension and you treating me like I'm dumb, I'm trying to explain to you when you're but I'm saying when you're like, I thought you were woke, and you're trying to get in my mind, I'm trying to explain to you the reason you can't understand it is because you're not me and you can't do this type of work. So I'm just being honest. That's why you can't, you know, that's why it's like you're trying to grasp at straws and straw man arguments to try to, you know, debunk what I said, and I'm explaining.
Okay. I don't want to let this be that tangent. I would like to close on a great note. So we're going to go into the final topic here, and we're going to land a plane. But before we do that, I'm going to read some super chats, but I'm going to say one more time, An0maly makes great content, y'all. He makes excellent content. I could never be An0maly. I could never sit at the computer and sit down and edit videos about a whole bunch of stuff I just don't simply care about. But An0maly will, right? And the hat goes off to him, because without him, a lot of this information wouldn't be surfaced, right? So we got to tip our hats to An0maly for being one of the people out here spreading the truth. And I champion you for that, right? And that's all I'm trying to say. Let's get into these last few super chats, and then we'll land this plane.
In respect to you, I'm just saying, when you talk to people like condescending, like, you know, not everybody's going to want to sit and act like a dummy for an hour, especially someone like me. You know, it's confidence, it's self-esteem. It's just being a man, you know, it's nothing personal. It's nothing. It's just like, you're talking to me like a little baby, a little dummy. And eventually I'm going to be like, explain why you can't figure it out. That's all it is. It's all love. I think Pharaoh came in to make it extra hilarious. What's up? But in general, that's all it is. It's not personal. I'm not emotional. It's just, you know, that's the tone that I got the whole time, where at a certain point it's a flex back.
Okay. Shout out to Young Pharaoh. I heard Young Pharaoh's in the chat. Shout out to Young Pharaoh. Young Pharaoh said, debate me. I would love to host a debate between you two on my channel at any given time. Y'all let me know. Or not any given time, but I'd love to get that set up. When y'all ready to do that, I'd love to mitigate that and be the moderator. Would you be down to do that, An0maly? Respectfully.
We had a debate on Insta Live about
I remember
the people who must not be named who canceled Farrakhan's CPAC. Right. So in hindsight, it's pretty funny. I don't know if his thoughts changed or it kind of got on a tangent there, but yeah, I would definitely be open to it. Just, I don't want to run back the same exact thing because certain people, you get trapped in a space where it's like there's so much we could talk about, but yeah, I'll be open to it.
All right, I'm going to contact Young Farrell. We'll get a topic together and we'll figure that out. J-Vass, I'm going to come back to yours because that's where we're going. That's where we're going to close out with this. Teddy T-Bow, I subscribe to An0maly. Y'all really sleeping on him. Yeah, please subscribe to his channel. Great information happening over there. Cassius Cam, I watch all of your vids, An0maly, and we respecting you. It's all love. Why you so combative, dog? Opinionated junkie, the disrespect is uncalled for. Bill Showy, Hotep's demeanor is very calm and poised, even while An0maly is getting heated. Hotep Jesus would make a great president. Hotep greater than Trump. I ain't running for president, but I appreciate that. Sonny James, formula same when empire falls, drugs, human trafficking, internal conflict, sponsored by outside parties and capital, the flavor of the day, karma returns home. Indeed. You should moderate verse An0maly. Who's Hexen Hammer 666? I don't know who that is. He said I'd pay to see that. David J, I think both of you are solid. An0maly is my boy, and I think it comes down to context and misunderstanding each other's context. Two men both want freedoms, just different styles. We're on the same side. God bless. Absolutely. Ms. Tech Not Fancy 999. I gotta read these. Just lost respect for this guy. This is why I cannot stand talk to fight people on the far left and right. Too emotional. It shows that he's so used to people talking to them in a certain matter. All right, so let's land this plane here. What's your goal? What's your goal, your end game with all of this? What are your solutions to solve some of these problems for America?
With the lockdown, and why I'm so passionate about it is because the last year we're being treated like prisoners, we're being treated like animals, we're being treated like slaves. They're psychologically abusing children. They're psychologically and physically abusing elders. They're basically killing us. And I firmly believe they killed way more people with the lockdowns. And when things like this happen, they don't get reversed. So in order to reverse this, you got to get to the core of why it's happening. And with this stuff, beyond who's doing it, it's really like a mass testing sort of thing. Like those are the metrics they're using. So I try to get to the bottom of all of that stuff. So for now, I would love to not be a slave and end up in a gulag. So I would love to, first of all, not just here, but in general, like I'm not caving to, this tyranny. I'm not going to let people at restaurants treat me like an animal. Like in my own personal life, I try to put up a wall. I'm a very nice person, but at a certain point, it's like, I'm not a pushover. Weakness is not kindness. So my goal is to not watch America turn into, communist Russia, because everybody's afraid to do something. But at a certain point, I think we're slowly walking into something that could be very dangerous.
Okay. Let me give you my version of answering that question, and then we'll circle right back to you. Right. So here are my goals and aspirations. Two main physical goals is one of them. I want to build a center for adults to detox from the toxic world, right? It's a beautiful place. I'm imagining people walking around in colorful robes. They're doing gardening. They're doing beekeeping. They're reading. They're playing acoustic music. They're conferencing. And there's no media influence allowed. And it's just like this deprogramming of mainstream media in this way of life that we're living right now. So that's one of my goals. The second one is to build, and I hate this word, but an orphanage for children who don't have parents. And I want to put a lot of money towards that. I want to help adults and I want to help kids. Now, my path to get there is I currently am involved in 7 different corporations and eighth on the way. I'll be closing the deal any minute now. And they're through tech. Like we have liberals who are in tech, right? And so I have Coinbits app, coinbitsapp.com, and we empower people by allowing them to invest in Bitcoin. We have Wazo AI, which allows people to optimize the retail space. We have Hotep Nation. Hotep Nation is a nonprofit organization, and then the ones that I can announce later on. But my thing is, I want to become a billionaire so I can show people what it's like to be benevolent with money, right? I want to affect politics, but I don't want to affect politics as a politician. I want to affect politics like how George Soros does it, but on a benevolent side of things, right? So organizing people and getting them to do the right things. When we had that conversation with Andrew Esquire last week on how we can help save America, you know, one of my goals is to put together a board who can start repealing some of this legislation. This is a war that we can put attorneys on the case, right? So I think what you do is you do a great job of bringing data to the forefront. Here's the data on why lockdowns don't make sense. What I want to do is I want to empower the attorneys with this data to go into court and say, hey, this is why you can't lock me down, so on and so forth. So while you're on one end providing data, I'm on the other end bringing the experts to the forefront, right? Like Andrew Esquire, who are telling people, no, does the state have the rights? Does the federal government have the rights? And then Andrew Breitbart says politics is downstream from culture. Hotep Jesus says culture is downstream from business. And we see that media is a business, and business is really the one that's lobbying and paying off the politicians. So that's why I'm in business. So what I do is I have a podcast on Mondays where I empower a group of 4 adults in the Jean Core Project. And the Jean Core Project is a beautiful thing where these adults have not only empowered themselves, but we also have 10 to 12 contributors who are now getting an opportunity to put their names out in the world. So while you're in the world of media and politics, I'm in the world of startups and business. And they complement each other, right? I also have a Saturday class I do every Saturday where people come and I answer questions on the fly. And every week I walk them through how to grow their business. So not only am I empowering myself in the world of business, I empower others in the world of business. You see what I'm saying? So that's my goal. So now I'm going to turn it over to you. Seeing the problems that we have in the world today, what's your goal? What's your end game? And how are we going to get there?
I'll say on the business side, I have a website, usaproductsonly.com, and I'm building like an online farmers market for digital businesses to plug like all the people who follow me. We have 40, 50, we're getting to hundreds, and they're already getting revenue, traffic. So yeah, all online US businesses, stuff like that. It's tricky. I think life, and I appreciate you. And definitely with that, you know, everything I said, I apologize in the sense of, you know, I don't think that you don't talk about stuff on here, and I absolutely don't think you're a dummy, and vice versa, you know, the tone and stuff, but it's not a big deal. It's just me standing up. Yeah, I mean, just keep trucking. I try to have the balance of, you know, working hard, but at the same time, not doing too much, you know? So I'm doing what I'm doing on the media side, on the business side. I don't have these huge aspirations to be a billionaire. You know, if it gets to that point, it's fine, but I don't know. That's not really my lane. I'm the type of person I'd rather be on a beach, doing my thing, independent, making a big impact. But, you know, it's not my goal, but we definitely need people like yourself and others to take those steps and get there. So,
you know, I'd like to provide people with solutions, right? Because what you said about lockdowns, correct. What you said about 90% of what, I'll even venture to say 99.9% of what you've said tonight is not wrong. It's accurate. And I agree with all of it. And that was the little slick thing I did bringing you on was some people need to hear these facts. Some people need to be empowered with these facts so they can go tell other people and hip them to the psyop that's going on. Like I said, I never believed Trump was going to save us. But we need people like you to wake these people up and say, look, that's not a God, right? And I think that's beautiful. But what I want to leave here today with is, how do we stop the beast, in your opinion? How do we stop the beast? How do we stop the D state? What do we do?
I think it's
what can the people do?
a mental, spiritual, business revolution. I have exposedlockdowns.com too. If you go to exposedlockdowns.com, it has a list of all the FDA fact sheets, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, just their history. So you can stand up to your business owner or whoever, is pressuring you, have the facts. This way you're educated and informed. It's a combination of both. It's a mindset. We're being brainwashed, and at the same time, we're being squeezed as far as real estate business. So a combination of all those. So I don't, as far as what would be that critical mass point where people get it enough to get to that point, I don't know what that'll take, but I know it takes people working hard and making a difference as far as planting a seed in one person's mind or planting a business seed, and helping them grow what they're doing and having them be. But I think it leads with morality too. Nobody's perfect, but with politics, if we're all following a politician, that's where I've just been analyzing it really. I don't think I've been, but we went over that. So
yeah, it's not even about politics. It's not even about politicians. When I look at this problem, this is why my Andrew Esquire video, y'all not subscribed, Legal Mindset. The real battle is in the people working with the case law. Even some of these pieces of legislation, there's no statute of limitations on them. We can go back 100, 200 years and start taking some of these things off the books. What I feel is that we need an intellectual awakening, and we need to pull people away from these distractions. And that was like the other thing I had some disparities with you on the Trump thing. I'm like, Trump is the distraction, right? I always looked at him, he's a distraction. He's distracting everybody from what they really need to be focused on. When I saw you focus on him, I was just like, why would he focus on the distraction? You know what I mean?
But you use him potentially more than I do to get views and traffic. So you use Trump to your advantage with memes, with talking, with tweets. You use him to your advantage more. So that's what I'm talking about. I mean, of course, people in the comments are going to say I'm emotional. Maybe it's my lighting. I'm really not. I haven't even raised my voice. I just have spoken strong. But for an hour, you've talked to me condescending, like I can't figure out why you're doing it. It's like, because everything you're saying I'm doing is a lie. You use Trump more than I use Trump. You talk about him more, you tweet about him more, even for the last 4 years. So now you're trying to hold it against me because I don't know why you're painting me like this person that worshiped him when I've never been that, and talking to me like I'm a dummy or like a baby. So I'm not emotional. I'm just a man. So if I were to talk to you that way, I think you would say something. There's nothing wrong with that. I said one thing early on and you were like, I didn't say that. And you felt a certain way. If it like roles reverse and I was talking to you the way you were talking to me, you would feel disrespected. And I'm not crying about it. It's like, oh my God, I feel terrible. It's just like man to man, I'm no dummy. Everything I said was valid. If you rewind the reach, every move I made and everything I said, there's a reason for it. And I never was this like straight up, oh, An0maly's using Trump. You use Trump more than I do.
How do you quantify that?
I mean, it would take hours of research probably on social media, but as far as tweets, you talk about Trump on Instagram, you talk about it, you Photoshop, the Hotep thing on his head and do stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. Like you said, he's a leader. There's a lot of people who like him. You use Trump to your advantage. Sometimes you defend him. Sometimes you joke about him, but maybe you just never criticize him or something. And I do, or I call out the nonsense when I think it's a lie. But you're acting like you're this person who like never talks about Trump and just like you use him to your advantage all the time. So I think it's a little hypocritical.
You said I use him more than you.
I mean, to quantify it, yeah, we would have to study social media, which would be a waste of time. But you're acting like, and you're speaking in questions. People are like, wow, he's crushing. It's like, no, you're saying, oh man, Trump's a distraction. I feel like you're acting like you don't talk about Trump. Everyone knows you do.
You want to pull up the amount of tweets you tweeted this year about Trump compared to me? We could quantify it right now, put numbers to it.
This year, I've been talking a lot because, I've been trying to get to his support base, but I don't. Are you pretending like you don't talk about Trump and use it? Like I'm above this. I don't talk about Trump at all, bro. You probably tweet about him. I went on your Instagram. You had 6 pictures with him, way more than I do. I don't, I have maybe 1 picture of me at an event. You got 6 pictures of Trump.
You said I tweet about him more than you.
No, I said you post about him more than me.
You.
Yeah, but this is like a childish argument now. Like who posts more? I'm just saying you post about him. You're acting like you're above talking about Trump, and everyone here knows you talk about Trump. Just like you talk about, every week you do a list of things you want to talk about. You're interested in it. People will listen to it. It's what everyone does in media. You talk about Trump and you have an opinion. But when I talk about him, maybe the difference is I say the truth about Operation Warp Speed, about the lockdowns, about the dates, and I give my perspective. And maybe you just don't do that and post pictures of him with hats on and just say like one-liners and stuff, which is fine. But I don't think you're above talking about Trump.
You said I Photoshop pictures of myself with Trump. You stand on that?
On your Instagram? Do you not do that?
I post fan art on my Instagram.
Someone photoshopped a picture of you with Trump. It's not I'm not knocking you. I think it's funny and I think it's useful and I think there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm just like, you're taking this position of like, I'm so smart, talking down to me like I'm a dum-dum. I don't talk about Trump. I know he's a distraction. Like everyone knows you post about Trump, whether it's fan art or you. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you talk to me condescending for an hour, like you've never done it, I don't think anyone believes that. But it's just, I find it funny. It's not a big deal.
There's pictures of me Photoshop with AOC, right?
There's nothing wrong with you're using politics to make a joke and make people laugh or to, get clicks. I'm not calling it like a grit. It's everyone talks about politics. There's nothing wrong with it. I talk about AOC. I talk about Trump. So do you. I'm just saying you're talking to me as if you don't do it, which is the funny part. Cause it's like, I don't know that. And that's the whole demeanor you've had, which is like a good way to trick people into thinking that you're like really crushing it. But you're just like playing this game of like, I don't do this. I don't do that. I don't do this. Like you do that. You do that. And if you don't talk about what Trump's not doing, then that's not really that special. Cause okay. So you talk about Trump and you don't accurately point out things he's not doing. Like that's not that impressive.
I didn't say anything I don't do. I'm just referring back to your words. I said, you
post about Trump. Let's not make this a whole thing. You post about Trump, you tweet about him. It's okay. So does everybody. Everyone talks about Trump.
I just want to reiterate my point. I said that I felt like Trump was a distraction, a huge, major distraction, right? And then I
agree.
And then I said I felt like you were falling for the trap and consistently talking about Trump. To which you said you tweet about him more than I do. And I asked you. I asked you how would you quantify that? And you said you couldn't quantify that. So I said, I could go right now and quantify it if you would like. And you said that you probably tweeted about him more than me this year.
I think I said post, but in general, I'm just saying it's like a childish argument to be like, let's count and see who talked about Trump more. Like the point I'm trying to get to is you're saying Trump's a distraction. I agree. I make videos about when Trump's doing a good job, when I think he's a distraction. In fact, my whole point of all last year was Trump is a distraction. I agree with you, but you're taking this high and mighty position. Maybe that's like the alpha thing you do for your audience to be like big dog on campus. I get it. But it's like you're acting like you don't talk about Trump and everyone knows you talk about Trump. That's all I'm saying. It's childish to go and count how many posts, but I saw at least 3 or 4 on Insta of Photoshop pictures of Trump. Honestly, it's like it was taking up a big part of your Insta where you go to mine. I got all this other stuff. It's fine. But like, what, are we going to count tweets and Instagram posts? I'm just making the point that you talk about him too. I just point out things that he's not doing. And you just, I don't know, say other things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you're talking to me condescending as if like you're not doing it, which is the whole reason I said, yeah, you're not doing what I'm doing. I'm not being mean or emotional. It's just true. I'm like, what point are you trying to make acting like you don't talk about Trump?
I never said I don't talk about Trump.
He's a distraction. That's the point I've been making all last year. Trump supporters were mad at me all last year because I was saying he's distracting you from standing up for your freedom because you think he's going to do it when in reality you have to be a part of the equation. That's what I said all year. So I don't know what you like. Everything to me has been like a straw man. Like you're doing this. No, I'm not. You dropped the whole album. No, you're not. He opened up here. No, he didn't. And then like he's a distraction and I feel like you're getting caught in it. It's like, bro, you post about him and I post about him. And then I weave in what I think is real and helpful and you make a joke or you weave in what you think is real and helpful. You do the same thing.
I wouldn't say that. I don't go out of my way to talk about Trump. If Trump's in the news, I might make a comment, but I don't go out of my way to talk about Trump.
Anybody that follows Hotep Jesus on Instagram or Twitter, does anyone think he doesn't talk about Trump? In fact, probably most people follow you, if not from the Joe Rogan plug, which was huge, most people probably follow you from your analysis on Trump. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not sitting here saying, F Trump, I hate Trump. He's the worst thing in the world. He's this. I'm just saying, I think he sold us out. But at the same time, you know, reporting on Trump was definitely big, but it's not all I do. I've gotten more views talking about Bill Gates and stuff. It's out of every Trump supporter, I'm probably one of the ones that's known for being bipartisan and like can talk about other topics and still get views. Most people can't. So, you know, I don't think anybody that follows you believes that you don't talk about Trump. Most people follow you probably because your takes on Trump.
Nah, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, but one of your first come ups, I think, was
There's people in the chat saying right now, I don't talk about Trump.
Yeah, maybe recently or in general, but I remember the White House thing where you're going to go and then you got kicked out because they lied and said you're an anti-Semite or whatever. And I had your back and I brought you on because I knew that was nonsense. And I always said, he's one of the smartest ones there. That's messed up that you're kicking out Hotep because, you know, I didn't like that. And I had your back there. But, you know, I'm not saying it's all you talk about. It's not all I talk about. But to pretend now like you don't talk about him at all. I've seen tweets of yours about Trump get 5,000, 10,000 retweets, and that's awesome. But like, you do talk about Trump.
Awesome.
And it's fine.
Oh my God, these super chats are pouring in. This is all young Pharaoh's fault. I'm gonna read these super chats and get out of here. Where am I? Oh, DMT Zell. He was a full Q nut when I came across this guy. Then he did a 360 as election campaign.
That's a lie. I've never been a Q nut.
He's never been a Q guy.
And for people following here, I'm not saying Hotep real quick. I'm not saying all he does is talk about Trump. Of course, a lot of people follow him probably don't even care about Trump. But that's the same with me. If you go to my Instagram or you find 8 out of 10 people who followed me last year don't even care about Trump. They care about the testing and the lockdown stuff. So it's the same type of dynamic because we're creative people, you know, like I'm not pigeonholing you as like, you're the Trump guy, but that's what you did here. You tried to bring me on and paint me as the Trump guy to people who don't know. People who know me knew that it was all straw mans and false pretenses. And that's what I'm saying to you. It's like, yeah, you're not the Trump guy, but neither am I. It's never been what I've done. I made one song. You've made multiple tweets and you have 5-6 pictures on your Instagram. You Photoshop as to Trump. You're not the Trump guy. You just did a Photoshop picture of Trump, or it's a fan art. It's the same. It's like, but I don't come on and talk and say, hey, you're doing this. It's like, I get it. But yeah, that's the whole thing I was trying to explain.
Okay. Phil Shao, he said, Q predicted this debate. Trisha said, An0maly really helped me find the truth about current events these past few years. He hooked me with this obvious passion. Thank you both. Yes, great content. Make sure y'all subscribe to An0maly's channel here on YouTube. Phil Shao, this is a great debate. Shout out to both of y'all. Big respect to An0maly and Hotep. We need more people like y'all in America. Also, shout out to God. Yes, shout out to God. David J, I found out about young Pharaoh from UK Black History on Insta, and I'm a white boy and been sharing An0m, Hotep, and Pharaoh with anyone. All of you, keep it up. Yeah, that's the trifecta right there. An0maly is a funny guy. I like him. Avery from Chicago. Danny Flower, young Pharaoh, I need to find a video you did about the Indian family that drowned in NJ. An0maly, love the energy. NJ, not sure. Hotep Jesus, not sure what to think yet. Check out my channel. Check out the content and then see what you think. David Gomez, idea for change. Citizens commit to an amount a month that funds scientists and other professionals to independently confirm studies, use of facts. I like that. Phil Shao said, this is a fact. Hotep didn't even vote for Trump. That's correct. Avery from Chicago, An0maly is distracted by the chat. Steph Colonel, Hotep Jesus 3-0. Don DeMarco, M. Brown. An0maly, I just unfollowed you. You just keep going on and on in your films besides the point. Be nice, people. Be nice. Amanda Conroy, $5 super chat. An0maly, lay off the Adderall. He's not on Adderall. Stop it. Avery from Chicago, where are the An0maly subs? They're in the chat showing them love. Avery from Chicago, Hotep's been told you. Good night. $50 super chat. Oh, yeah, the grift is great tonight. Monica, you, come on now. 2 grown men and you're acting like you're in grade school. Hotep Jesus, you know you're poking the bear for a reaction, and An0maly is falling for it.
I'm not falling for it. I'm just speaking. It's like such a joke. It's like you poke, poke, poke. I say one thing. Oh, he's crying. He did this. He loved Trump. He liked Q. I'm just debunking your lies. It's like, what were you watching?
Cloud Star, $10 super chat. I follow because of Hotep. I bang you, $10 super chat. An0maly had an idea about what Trump could have done. And when his idea of what president fell through, he got butthurt. An0maly had high expectations.
Real quick, I report on what happened. If you just don't say anything about it, it doesn't make you Malcolm X. It's like I report on what's going on, good, bad, and ugly. I didn't get butthurt. I just said this is going on, and I tried to wake up Trump supporters, and I did, and I tried to wake up liberals, and I did. It's like I'm tired of the false. Oh, he's so mad. It's like, no, okay. If you just suck off Trump and say, oh my God, everything he's doing, the vaccines are so great. Like the argument people are making, oh man, maybe he had to do this. Cause it's like, that doesn't make you super special and super moral. It just means you talk about Trump, except you say the wrong thing. And I talk about him and I say something that is valid. I don't understand what you guys are talking about. Go ahead.
Kelsey Berkey, $5 super chat. He's reflecting, just having a conversation. It's not a competition. Quit reflecting and answer the questions. Use it as an advantage to get out your message. Blue Fant, I really hate it when mommy and daddy fight. Love both of y'all. Patriot J, need an An0maly in Boston rap to settle this. I might have to come out of retirement and do a song with An0maly. We're going to wait for 2024. We're going to do a song together and say, I still like Trump. Young man, $5 super chat. An0maly by unanimous decision. Shout out to An0maly, man. I think he brought some great points up today. And I learned a lot today. Kelsey Berkey, $5 super chat. He said, Tim Pool is how I heard of Hotep. We're right at the 2-hour mark. I think this has been a great conversation. An0maly, first of all, I got to say thank you. I have to say thank you, number one, for coming on the channel and accepting the debate that I dangled out there on Hotep's Been Told You. Every Thursday at 8 p.m. with Uncle Hotep Eastern Time. So I got to thank you for taking this debate and educating the people. That's the second thing I want to thank you for. Thank you for educating the people and stay on these Republicans' necks, because I gave up that battle a long time ago. Stay on their necks. Stay on these conservatives' necks. I love to see it. I just didn't understand it. I think I have more of an understanding now. I still don't understand it, but I have more of an understanding previous to today. My purpose today was to understand your angle. That was like really why I wanted to talk to you, understand why you are so critical of Trump now, right? And I think I have a better understanding of that. So once again, thank you. Make sure people, you go follow him on YouTube. An0maly, any parting comments before we go?
Yeah, just appreciate you having me. I don't consider it bait or a trap because I don't care. I mean, I didn't know what your angle is, and I still don't, like, I don't know if you're playing devil's advocate. I'm being honest. I don't know if you're doing it just to do it. And I don't care because I wanted to spread this message anyway, but, or if you really believe that, and I'm not being rude, I legit don't know because, I don't know what you say every Thursday and stuff, but I'm guessing like if you mention things going on, that would come up as far as Trump's role in all of this. And it's not being butthurt, in my opinion, or being upset or angry. It's just like, that's what it is. And I'm not going to just be marching along acting like that didn't happen. I'm not that upset about it. So I don't consider it bait. I consider it a fun combo. And I didn't know which angle it was going to be, but I'm willing to take it and step into the den and see. I have nothing to hide or, it's a challenge.
I was joking when I said that, but the thing is, when I speak about things that happen, I try to speak about them objectively from the watcher's position and not say I agree or disagree with whatever's happening in the news and politics, although sometimes I do. What I'm trying to do is put things in context and say why things are happening, and then let people add their sentiments on top of all that. Because the sentiments to me are, whatever, opinions, everybody's got them. But when I can tell people why Trump does something, and then they can choose whether it's good or bad on them. Me, I'm agnostic. I don't really care, right? Like, it's not good or bad, anything that he does. I just look at it as part of the plan, right? But that's my point, is I like to put what he does in context and say, hey, look, this thing right here he did, That's above his pay grade. That's out of his handle. And that's the thing I do on my channel and do on Hotep's Been Told You, where I say, Trump could have did something about this. This thing right here, I don't know if he wanted to touch that unless he wanted the JFK treatment.
I hear you. That's fair. And I guess I'll end with this, where as a citizen of this country, people are saying An0maly is chill. Like I got less chill over the last year or two because I just want to relax. I don't care about the left, the right. But when you lock me down, when you treat my grandparents like slaves and prisoners, when you make it impossible to visit somebody at a hospital, when you lock down innocent kids and I have to go and watch these kids at the park playing this, as a man, as an American, as a citizen, as a taxpayer, I am upset, and I try not to be angry because sometimes in a fight, anger is not necessary, but passion is necessary. So I try to be passionate and strong, where Republicans to me are just too weak. And it's not even just Trump. I'm talking about the base where everyone's waiting. And I'm like, is our country this weak? Is our country this stupid that we're going to cave to this stuff? So that's the energy I'm trying to bring here, and not directed at you. Although when we're talking about certain things, certain energies, like I'm taking a stance because I feel like on America, the walls are closing in. So it's nothing personal to Trump, but as a man, he's a man doing business. I'm a man, I'm a taxpayer, but just because he's a billionaire and the president doesn't mean he can miss all these issues and I'm going to worship him. I'm not going to do that because too many people are suffering. And until people figure that out and stop worshiping him, we're going to keep suffering. So I just can't, and I don't want anything to happen, but I'm at the point now, I will, say what I think is true and right, regardless of the consequences, because I think that's what this country is missing is honor and courage. There's a lot of fear and there's a lot of sellouts, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Again, thank you. Make sure y'all subscribe to this channel. Make sure y'all subscribe to his channel. And tune in to Hotep's Been Told You on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Uncle Hotep. An0maly. You're somebody I really want you to watch our show.
I'll tune in. All right. How about that? I'll tell what you tell me what week to tune in and I'll tune in. Cause I know you're a smart guy. I know you're a smart guy. I know you're a unique guy. And I know when I stood up for you with the TPUSA stuff, I said then out of all those people, like I could tell you weren't an NPC and you were your own person. And I still think you are, even with the back and forth and that, I know you're not a dummy. So, I'm sure you'll say some good stuff.
I can't thank you enough for defending me in that moment. I can't thank you enough for giving me a platform when a lot of people didn't. So in case anybody doesn't know, before a lot of people put me on their platform, like a lot of notable people, An0maly was one of the first. I think Sonny Johnson was the first, but An0maly was one of the first people to give me a platform and to champion the Hoteps. It's always a thank you from my end for that. And you've got one of the biggest YouTube channels out here. So without you, I don't know if I'd be as big as I am. You know what I mean?
And I'm not taking, I thought it was cool that Rogan mentioned the CJ debate on his show though. I thought that was very cool.
That's another An0maly moment.
And I didn't do it for any other reason besides I thought it was the right thing to do. And I knew out of that crowd, they were targeting you, not because you were hateful or you were racist. They were targeting you because you were intellectual and you were smart enough to go against their narrative. And I'm not on those people's payroll. So any chance I get, I like to spread the love.
Right. And the thing is about me, if you follow my Twitter, you're not even getting 5% of me.
Got to get the books. I'm getting a plug.
Thanks for the plug. Thanks for the plug. Get the books. Dominate Twitter and Rules for Masculinity. Exactly. In the link below. But Hotep's Been Told You is where it's at. When you watch Hotep's Been Told You, you start to see me and Uncle Hotep's angle with this whole political thing. And you probably got to watch a few episodes. But when you ask me which one to watch, you got to watch all of them.
I'm not a binge watcher, okay? That's like someone told me to watch 8 seasons of Breaking Bad. I'm like, bro, get me to watch one first, and then you can lure me in. But I like what you and Uncle Hotep, first of all, you like his laugh is just legendary. You got to put that in a box and sell it as an NFT. Like it's such a joyful laugh, so I always love seeing you guys on the feed, just cracking up and saying some funny stuff and real stuff. So,
Absolutely. Steph Colonel, we taking An0maly to Hotep Court this Thursday. We do Hotep Court every Thursday too. That's a fun segment. Rich R, please get Allison McDowell in your show. Her research intensely exposes the big picture. Connect me. I'll have her on. I have no problem with that. An0maly, thank you. We're going to get out of here. Hotep and Bill to the chat. Love y'all. Hold on. We about to be out of here in a second.